ask this in your name, O Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Ma'am Cabe.
Yes?
Thank you po.
Okay, you're welcome.
And for the attendance check, we have Ma'am Cynthia Adriano.
Good morning po.
Good morning.
Complete pong attendance.
Okay. So now for our
Ma'am Grace, excuse me.
Yes po, our words
Ma'am Cha, please mention the participants for this training po, yung mga pangalan po, so that everybody will know who are the participants. Para din narinig namin yung boses mo. We miss you. Thank you.
Okay. So, attendance po. So, as of 8:11, andito na po ang Ma'am Diga, Ma'am Gianan, Ma'am Agait, Ma'am Aguirre, Ma'am Barrientos, Mrs. Cabe, Mr. Constantino, Mrs. Corda, Mr. Edwin Cruz, Mrs. Mary Christine de Guzman, Miss Diga, Mrs. Stanislao, Miss Estorga, Mrs. Salvador, Mrs. Tamonan, and Miss Tomas. Complete po.
Okay, thank you po, Ma'am Cynthia.
Opo.
Okay, so that's good news. Everybody's here. So for our words of wisdom, we have our LAC leader, Mrs. Andrea Grace F. Ganan, and teacher 2, who presents.
Thank you, Ma'am Chris. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, teammates. Happy Monday to everyone. Siguro, Ma'am Kabalang and Sir Kabalang will be joining with us later, since a lot of teams are having their orientation at this or training rather at this morning. At this juncture, I would like to say thank you to all of you, because hindi kami nahirapan ni Ms. Diga na maglagay ng mga tao kung sino ang gusto. It is my gratefulness that everyone are all eager, giving and sharing your part. I really do appreciate that, because we will not be team and we will not be successful if there will be no collaborations. And I really thank you for that. Sa lahat sa inyo, salamat ng marami. We will do this all together at matatapos natin to ng maayos. Of course, with the cooperation and your sharing. Sabi ko nga kagabi dun sa aking post sa group messenger natin, all questions and queries are highly regarded. I would appreciate all those questions and queries will be coming from you. And at this point in time, hindi ako leader, kundi ako ay estudyante rin. I am also a teacher, and I will be appreciating all the knowledge and insights that each speakers for this morning who will be imparting or discussing each module. During our orientation, ang sabi nga ng Ma'am Kabalang ay kami ng mamaramag, ang focus namin ay administration. But then, sabi ko nga, I am very open for learning, and natutuwa ako na kayong lahat ay bukas ang puso na magbigay ng sarili nyong kaalaman based on the modules given to you. Sabi ko, ayoko nang masyadong nagpapakahirap ang bawat isa, and I don't want you to feel that this LAC training is a burden on your part. But let us enjoy the day with a thankful heart. Salamat sa Panginoon sa napakagandang araw na ibinigay niya sa atin. And also, salamat din sa kalakasan at lahat tayo ay kompleto ngayong umaga. I'm looking forward to spend the day with a grateful heart in each and every one of you. Hanggang 5 p.m. po tayo. We will have a short break, a lunch break at 11:30 to at least 1 o'clock or kung maaga po tayong matapos dun sa first part. And joining with me this morning is my LAC call leader, ang Ate Emily Stanislao. Ate Em, kung tayo yung nagmi-meeting sa school o nagte-training, I'm sure you will be providing us snacks. Pero ngayon, virtual muna ang snacks. And looking forward for this fruitful and blessed day ahead. Congratulations in advance sa lahat ng speakers. Sabi ko nga, nakakatuwa kasi nagbo-volunteer sila to do and share their part. At yung mga hindi nakasamang mag-talk o hindi nahiya, siguro, ilagay natin sa program. Thank you so much, and we will be assisted by our napakabait na secretariat, Ms. Amdiga. There are a lot of materials posted in the Google Classroom also with the attendance for today. Please go along with the Google Classrooms. Andun po ang mga bagay na mahalaga na dapat nating i-comply. Also, we have a required output to do. Yung mga required output lang po ang ating isa-submit kasi ang sabi ng ma'am, para daw po hindi masyadong mahirap. And all those required output will be consolidated by me at iyan po ay ipo-forward mamayang gabi. So I'm expecting 100% cooperation to all of us. Muli, isang mapagpalang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Mahigpit na yakap sa inyong lahat at hopefully we will be ending this day na marami po tayong natutunan. Maraming salamat ulit. Take it away, Ma'am Chris.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Grace Gianan, Head Teacher 2. So, napaka-refreshing po na malaman to hear your words. So, that is a humbling words of wisdom. So, yung mga, mga teachers, they stepped outside of their comfort zone. So, I suggest we begin to change. That's the time we can change and grow and transform. So, adya po sa inyo po. So, friendly reminder lang po, you can put comments, questions, feedbacks, and suggestions through the chat box po. But this will be answered after all the facilitators have spoken, okay? So, moving on. So, let's now open the session by calling Ma'am Lani Tamonan.
Good morning.
Take it away, Ma'am Lani.
Wala po. Ito po, hindi mo nakikita.
Visible yung slide, Lani.
Visible? Okay, ulit.
Ma'am Lani, press niyo po yung F5 po para full screen.
Ayan, okay.
Okay na?
Okay na po.
Tapos, in-next ko lang.
Ano po, press F5 po.
Ayan, okay na siya.
Para po full screen. Kasi nakikita po yung other slide po sa left side eh.
Ito, nakikita na. Nakikita na.
Press F5 po.
Okay na siya. So, parang yung ginawa lang po natin na pagmamap dun sa mga estudyante na according dun sa place. So, when we say essential learning, yun yung mga mahalaga na dapat na matutunan ng bata to build their skills. And when we say desirable learning competencies, what may enhance, yung mga dapat pang mapahusay, mapa-improve na mga kabataan natin ngayon, ng ating mga nag-aaral. Okay, next, identification of prerequisite knowledge and skills needed to prepare students for essential learning competencies. So, i-identify din dito yung ano ba yung mga prerequisite muna na knowledge na dapat na matutunan i-prepare na related dun sa mga mahalagang competencies na dapat matutunan ng bata. Okay, next. Analysis of interconnected or prerequisite knowledge and skills among the learning competencies for each subject area. So, i-analyze din natin yung mga knowledge na prerequisite kung ano ba yung dapat matutunan ng mga bata sa mga bawat subject area. When we say essential learning competencies, as what the students need, considered indispensable. in the teaching learning process to build skills, equip learners for subjects subsequent grade levels and consequent
Lani,
course
permission to speak po.
competencies as what may enhance education but may not be necessary in building foundation skills. So when we say desirable learning competencies, ito yung mga ano ba yung mga dapat na mapahusay ng mga bata, yung mga dapat na ma-improve sa kanila. Okay. Okay, next. Next slide. Okay. Characteristic of essential learning competencies. Learning competencies is essential. So, mahalaga daw yon. It connects the content to the higher concepts across learning area. So, nakakonect pa rin siya dun sa konsepto na kailangan na matutunan ng mga bata. At applicable siya sa totoong buhay, kung ano yung mga dapat na matutunan ng mga bata, na magagamit niya sa lifelong learning. Okay, next. From essential learning competency to most essential learning competency, bakit daw siya na-form into MELC? The number of identified essential learning competencies per quarter were further reduced from the term most essential learning competencies. So yung mga na-compress siya sa most essential, kung dati ay mahalaga ngayon, pinakamahalagang learning competencies na dapat matutunan ay kinompress siya. Learning competencies include research skills. So kahit na siya ay na-compress sa bawat quarter, meron pa rin siyang mga competencies na dapat matutunan katulad ng research skills, reading comprehension, writing, map reading, and hypothesis testing. These are essential in many professions and in everyday life. In the process, is the decision whether a learning competence is to be retained, merged, dropped, or replaced. So dito sa prosesong ito, yung paggawa ng MELC ay malalaman natin kung ano ba yung dapat na i-retain, ano yung dapat na i-merge, at ano yung mga dapat i-drop na mga competencies. Then i-replace na lang siya into one. Next. Okay, learning competencies are removed, dropped due to, bakit daw siya ni-remove o dinrop? May mga kadahilanan tayo. Okay, una, they are too specific and articulation is similar to the learning objectives. So may mga learning objectives na masyadong specific tapos parang paulit-ulit siya. Ayun, so i-drop siya. So kung hindi naman siya masyadong kailangan. They are deemed appropriate to be introduced in an earlier quarter or grade level or moved to a later quarter or grade level. Okay, pag sinabi nating deemed, yun yung ipagpalagay na yung ipinapalagay na appropriate pa rin siya, pero kung dapat pa rin ba siya na may introduce sa early quarter ba or move na lang to the later quarter or grade level. Then they are recurring. Okay. When we say recurring, ito yung tinatawag natin na paulit-ulit. So may mga objectives na parang paulit-ulit. Kung mapapansin sa ating previous na na competencies, so kung parang parehas naman siya, so i-remove siya or i-drop na siya. Kasi paulit-ulit yung learning competencies na yon. Then they are subsumed in another learning competencies. Okay. Pag sinabi naman subsumed, okay. Consider na i-include pa ba natin yung competencies na yon? Ayan. So ito yung mga reason kung bakit na dapat i-drop or i-remove yung Yung from ELC, yung Essential Learning Competencies, dun sa MELC. Okay, next. Slide. Meron tayong activity 1. Okay. Question. Ma'am Am?
Okay, thank you so much po. That's all na po, Ma'am Lani.
Meron pa siya yung susunod sa later part. Yung unpacking.
Meron pa po.
Oh.
Yes, Ma'am Lani, proceed na po.
Yun dun sa mga questions yan, di ba? Pe-present ko na lang yung sample ko mamaya. Okay, yan. So, ito. Meron tayo activity, merge, retain, drop. Okay. Mamaya pe-present ko yung sample, ma'am. Yung sa bandang huli yung unpacking, yung may definition. Ayan. So, lesson 2, yung unpacking and combining MELCs. So, may mga sample dyan kung nabasa nyo dun sa, meron doon mga in-unpack. Okay, bakit ba daw siya ina-unpack? Okay. So, in this lesson, you will familiarize with unpacking and combining MELCs into learning objectives. By the end of the lesson, you'll be able to understand vital consideration in unpacking and combining MELCs, unpack and combine sample MELCs, affirm that unpacking and combining MELCs provide curricular flexibilities to field implementers. Okay, next. So, meron tayong resource required, yung MELCs. Then, yung sa K-12, i-compare natin kung ano yung mga kasama para dun sa bagong learning objectives. Then, study notebook. Yung study notebook natin, doon natin ilalagay yung mga kailangan na dapat matutunan natin. Okay, next. Okay, just like the COVID years, we are highly encouraged to unpack the curriculum. So, bakit ba daw siya ina-unpack? Para alamin nila natin kung ano yung mga dapat na, kasi meron ng paulit-ulit na objective. So, i-unpack na natin. Okay, next. In unpacking the MELC into learning objectives, you need to consider the alignment on the content and performance standards. So, pag sinabing that departure, hindi pa rin siya maalis. According pa rin siya dun sa, naka-align pa din siya dun sa content at performance standards na dapat matutunan ng bata. So, ano lang natin yung K-12 na curriculum natin, then, hindi pa rin siya maaalis. Then may mga prerequisite pa rin na kailangan matutunan ng bata. Prerequisite knowledge and skills, higher order cognitive demands, and lower cognitive demands may be considered in creating learning objectives. So, gagawin pa rin natin yon. The logical sequence of learning objectives, since the intention of unpacking MELCs is provided systematic learning experience for learners, it is incumbent that the unpacked learning objectives is logical sequence. Naka-logical pa rin siya kung mapapansin nyo dun sa bagong MELC natin, yung mga in-unpack. Next. Combining the MELCs could likewise be combined to observe efficiency in the development of learning resources, which include but are not limited to SLMS, textbook. So, yung pag kinumbay siya, hindi pa rin daw siya limited sa textbook, sa teacher's guide, activity sheet, television. So, yung mga MELC na ngayon na learning objectives ay gagamitan pa rin natin ng mga ibang learning resources. Okay. In combining MELCs, field implementers should take note. So, pag kino-combine, ito yung mga dapat natin i-consider. Yung mga commonality, yung pagkakapare-parehas ng mga learning objectives, content, topic, themes. Hindi pa rin siya i-down. So, i-compress lang natin kung ano yung magkakaparehas na learning objectives. Then, naka-align pa rin siya dun sa pamantayang pagpaganap at saka pamantayang pangnilalaman. So, para mas makamit pa rin yung ma-achieve pa rin yung learning objectives na dapat matutunan ng mga bata. Okay, next. Ayan, kanina. To reiterate, MELCs are not departure from the standard. So sabi nga dun sa napanood ko sa video, hindi naman daw na bago yung katangian o layunin ng curriculum. So, nandun pa rin siya sa kabuuan. Kumbaga, kinompress lang siya dun sa MELC. Ayan. So, meron tayong mga samples. Pwede mag-present ng sample dun sa ESP. Ma'am.
Sige po, Ma'am Lani po.
Try ko. Meron ako dito sample ng ESP na sa ano ko.
Stop sharing ko na lang po, ano?
Oo. Sige. Hanapin ko. Nandito siya. Nandun sa PowerPoint. Nandun sa PowerPoint. Ito. Ayan. Ay, nawala. Nasa na yun? Nakikita na, Nakikita na?
Yes, yes.
Ito yung module 10 to 12. Ayan, ulit. Ano ko lang yung gusto ko malaman. Ito, nakikita na? Yung module 10 to 12.
Opo, ma'am.
Okay. Doon sa ESP, ito yun, no? Napansin ko kagabi, yung module 10 to 12 ay pinag-mix siya. Okay. Ito, yung 10.1 tsaka 12.1, ito yung objectives na doon sa K-12 BEC. Doon sa MELC, ito pinag-isa na lang siya. Natutuko yung mga indikasyon na may kalidad na kagalingang paggawa. Then, nilagyan siya ng paggamit ng oras. So, napansin nyo? So, dalawa yung objectives, pero dinugtungan na lang niya ng paggamit ng oras. Okay, under siya ng, okay. Yan, week 3. Okay, dun sa 10.2 naman, nakabubuo ng hakbang upang magkaroon ng kalidad. Tapos yung 12.2, ayan. Dalawa yung learning objectives niya, pero dun sa MELC, kinompress siya, minerge siya into one. Nakabubuo. Parang kinuha pa rin siya dun sa dati, tapos nilagyan na lang siya ng pamamahala ng oras. Na, kumbaga, dun sa gawain ay gagamitan siya ng oras. So, yung dalawang objectives ginamitan. Ito yung sinasabi natin na minerge. Tapos dun sa pangatlo naman, ito na-retained. Ayan. Na ipapaliwanag na kailangan. Dun sa dati, sa K-12 BEC, ito yung na-retained na pangatlong objective under ng topic na module 10. Ito, ni-retained lang siya dun sa MELC. So dun sa dalawang objectives ay ito minerge dun sa MELC. Dun sa pangatlo naman, 10.3, ayan, kinopya lang siya. Pagdating dun sa 10.4, tatlo yung objectives na galing dun sa K-12 BEC last year, then sa bago natin na MELC, ayan, kinompress siya into one. So, ayan. Ito, kung mapapansin nyo, ayan, nakapagtatapos ng gawain, tapos napatutunayan, din natataya. Pero ang ginamit niyang term ay nakapagtatapos sa isang gawain produkto na mayroong kalidad o kagalingan sa paggawa na sinimutan lang siya ng pamamahala ng oras. Okay. Okay, naintindihan niyo po, ma'am? Okay po?
Yes, ma'am.
Kung sa dalawang objectives, yung galing sa last year, yung dalawa, naging isa na lang. Ito yung sa MELC ng bago. Then, dito naman sa panghuli, tatlo, pero kinumpress sa into one. Yung sinasabi natin na minerge. Tapos pagdating naman dito, yung sinasabing unpacking, ayan, yung dalawang objectives natin sa MELC, kung dati ay isang araw to, kasi kami pagka sa ESP, isang araw lang to eh. Ngayon, in-unpack siya. So, yung dalawang objectives na to, gagawin siyang week 3, pero magkasama na siya pag gumawa ka ng learning exemplar. Naintindihan niyo po, ma'am? Oh, yun po yung sinasabi
Go
natin.
ahead po.
Yung sinasabi natin unpacking. Yung dito, ito yung minerds. And ito yung minerds. Yung dalawa objective, minerds siya dun sa isa. Then ito. Then yung dito, tatlo yung objectives minerds. Pero meron siyang na-retained na dun sa 10.3. So yun yung kaninang topic natin. Merge, retain, tsaka drop. Then yung in-unpack na tinatawag natin, itong dalawang to, ay in-unpack, ginawa siyang isa. Isang araw mo na lang siyang i-discuss. Then itong dalawang to na ipapaliwanag siya yung nakapagtatapos, isa na lang, in-unpack into one. Yun yung bago nating MELC. Okay, naintindihan na po? Okay.
Loud and clear, ma'am.
Okay, dun sa sample natin, AP, ayun, meron din doon. Kaya lang di ko siya ma-present dito. Yung sa AP, yung dinownload dun sa Google Classroom, may mga explanation din doon na kung paano siya i-unpack. Ma'am Am?
Yes, ma'am.
Hindi ko na i-download. Yung doon sa may AP.
Nasa slides po ba?
Oo, tingnan ko dito. Kasi meron din ako dito sa AP. Titingnan ko. Nasa na sa AP? Ano yun? Na-download ko na siya eh. Kaya lang naka-word yun sa akin kasi naka-word. Nasa Google Classroom siya eh. Hindi ito. Ito. Ayan, dito. Nasa Word. Tingnan ko kung may papers. Nasa Word kasi siya, nasa Word. Nandun sa AP. Ito. Nasa Word. Ilalakihan ko na lang. Yung sa AP, yung sa sample, yung nasa try kong i-presenta. Ayan. Nakikita po? Nakikita?
Opo.
Ayan, nasa Word, lalakihan ko na lang. Ayan. Ito yung sample yung na-download sa atin. Ayan. Unpacking MELCs, ito. Doon sa AP, ito, ang dami niyang objectives, pero ginawa siyang isa. Ayan, na ibibigay ang kahulugan ng bansa, naiisa ang mga katangian ng bansa. So parang paulit-ulit siya. Ginawa na lang siyang isa. Natatalakay ang konsepto ng bansa. Pero nandun yung mga sample na learning objectives na sumasako pa rin dito. Although isa yung kanyang learning objectives, yung 5 na tinalakay dito sa may bandang kanan ay sasakupin pa rin niya kapag gumawa ng learning exemplar. Okay. Ito po yung sample DLL. Ayan. Sa elementary naman to. Natutukoy ang buong pangalan. Ayan. Tapos dito, ito na po yung ayan. Yung sa AP, ayan. Kung mapapansin nyo, ayan. Ito yung medyo malabo. Ito yung kanyang content standard. Ito yung professional performance standard. Ayan. So bawat learning objectives ay may nakalagay kung week 1, week 2, week 3. Ayan. So dito, sa major topic niya, yung 1 and 2, ayan, ito yung 1 and 2, ang topic niya ay sariling pagkakakilanlan. Then yung 3 and 4 ay pagbabago at pagpapatuloy. Sa AP po ito. Then yung 5, kwento at kananasan. Then 6, pangarap at mitihiin. So kung mapapansin nyo, yung 1 and 2, iisa lang siya ng tinutukoy, kaya siya in-unpack. Pagbabago at pagpapatuloy, 3 and 4. So ganun din dun sa amin sa ESP, napansin ko na kung kaya naman na yung dalawang topic ay kaya ng isang araw, pwede na siyang i-unpack. Okay. Okay na po. Okay. Okay na po, ma'am? Naintindihan po?
Tapos na po, Ma'am Lani. Okay na po?
Okay na po.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma'am Lani Tamonan, for enlightening us with the most essential learning competencies. We've been familiarized with unpacking and combining of MELC into learning objectives. Okay? Thank you so much po. So, did Did you enjoy po, Ma'am Lani, the talk?
Ma'am Christian, pwede magdagdag. Pwede magdagdag. Dun sa ESP ako Kasi napansin ko kagabi, yung 10 to 12 minutes. Tapos pero yung topic namin na 11, pang 11 na topics ay na-retain. Yung 13 to 15 minutes, then meron siyang tinanggal yung last topic namin na 16 ay tinanggal. So yun yung dinidiscuss ngayon na merge, retain, tsaka drop. Pag sinabing dinrop, tinanggal, inalis siya dun sa learning objectives. So kung dati ay 64 yung aming learning objectives, naging learning competency pala, dati 64. Ngayon naging 52 na lang. So nabawasan siya ng 12 learning competencies. Yun yung MELC na sa ESP. Okay po.
Okay, thank you so much again, Ma'am Lani Tamonan. So, for our next, but before that, I want to remind the speakers or the facilitators that you will be consuming 30 minutes for every presentation that you have. So, as we moving on, so i-open ko lang po yung yung slide ko for our next facilitator or speaker. So leveraging learning styles in the classroom is more of a best practice than a science. So we can work with that. So ngayon naman po, today, Miss Mylene Estorga, mathematics teacher, will tackle lesson design and assessment of modalities. Gusto niyo po ba yan? Let's welcome Miss Mylene Estorga. Present ko lang po. Wait lang po. Okay, Ma'am Mylene, take it away po. Hindi ko na po yung i-present yung slide ko. So, to give way for your presentation. Thank you so much. Take it away.
Ayan. Good morning po sa lahat. So, dito po sa Module 3A na po tayo. Actually, marami po kami dito. Our topic is assigning instruction in the different learning delivery modalities. The topic is the part 1 of the Module 3. Objective, we have differentiate between the learning delivery modalities prescribed by the learning continuity plan and between the different types of distance learning modalities. Enabling objectives, we have apply lesson design and assessment considerations for distance learning in light of the COVID-19 crisis. Next is create a weekly home learning plan to guide your learners as they do independent study at home. And another, we have create an individual learning monitoring plan to keep track of the progress of learners who lag behind in completing the prescribed learning tasks. So for the module content, we have, which is my topic, lesson 1, understanding the different learning delivery modality. Lesson 2, we have designing lessons and assessments in the different learning delivery modality. Lesson 3, we have guiding and monitoring learners in the different LDMs. So, let us proceed for the lesson 1, which is understanding the different learning delivery modality. For my objectives, we have defined the learning delivery modalities prescribed by the LCP, describe the features of distance learning and its different types, explain the guidelines for implementing the different types of delivery at distance learning, enumerate the minimum requirements for each type of DL, rank the different types of DL in terms of their degree of difficulty to implement from the perspective of your school or division. And next is identify targeted interventions for learners with special concerns to ensure inclusion in distance learning. So for the key topics, we have blended distance learning, distance learning, face-to-face learning, homeschooling, implementation guidelines for distance learning, minimum requirements for distance learning, modular distance learning, online distance learning, TV-based instruction or radio-based instruction. Now, for the delivery modalities, the learning delivery modalities that schools can adopt may be one or a combination of the following, depending on the COVID-19 restrictions in the particular context of the learners in the school or locality. Next. Una, so we have face-to-face learning modality. Ayun yung sa mga, ano po natin to, mga learning modality. Face-to-face learning modality, syempre hindi siya applicable ngayong crisis na to because it refers to a learning delivery modality where the students and the teacher are both physically present in the classroom. So ito yung normal natin na pagtuturo. Magkakaharap tayo, andun yung teacher sa unahan, and then ang student natin is yung kaharap po natin. Nagkakaroon tayo ng palitan ng instruction. And there are opportunities for active engagement, immediate feedback, and social-emotional development of learners. Guidance on distance learning. Distance learning, a learning delivery modality where learning takes place between the teacher and the learners who are geographically remote from each other during instruction. Siyempre nga, dahil hindi tayo pwedeng magkaharap-harap, kaya nag-come up tayo dun sa distance learning. So, marami tayong modality na pwedeng gamitin. Una is we have modular distance learning. Next is online distance learning. Television or radio-based instruction. So, for the first one, we have modular distance learning. So, ayun dyan sa picture, we have modular learning where learners use modules. So, di ba nga, ngayon po ay nire-reproduce na po yan para magamit na po ng mga bata sa ating nanlalapit na pasukan. So, for modular distance learning, individualized instruction that allows learners to use school learning materials in print or digital format, whichever is applicable in the context of the learner, and other learning resources like learners' materials, textbook, activity sheets, study guides, and other study materials. So, ipro-provide po yan sa student. Learners access electronic copies of learning materials on a personal computer, tablet, or smartphone. CDs, DVDs, USB storage, and computer-based application can all be used to deliver e-learning materials including offline e-books. So, ayan po isang mga may kakayanan po o meron silang devices na pwedeng gamitin. Pwede tayong magbigay ng e-copy ng ating materials. So, the teacher takes the responsibility of monitoring the progress of the learners. So, the learners may ask assistance from the teacher via email, telephone, text message, or instant messaging. So, syempre nga, hindi porket nasa modular learning tayo, hahayaan na natin sila. We must guide our student pa rin kahit nasa modular distance learning. Kaya sabi nga, pwede tayong mag-assist through email, which is pwede tayong gumamit ng Facebook, pwede din naman sa text, or any other na pwedeng gamitin. Any member of the family or other stakeholders in the community need to serve as para-teachers. Syempre, ang family member o yung kasama sa bahay, ang number one na mag-guide sa bata. Kumbaga magkakaroon tayo ng tulungan. Tulungan tayo between parents and teachers para mag-guide yung bata sa modular distance learning. Next is online distance learning. Siyempre, ba't sinabing online distance learning? Teacher as facilitator engaging learners active participation through the use of various technologies. So, ano yung mga online platforms na pwede nating gamitin? Access through the internet while they are geographically remote from each other during instruction. So, dito, nagkakaroon pa rin tayo ng ano, nagkikita pa rin tayo kahit malalayo ang pagitan o malalayo ang location through online platforms. Like, tulad nito, Google Meet. Pwede tayong mag-meet during Google Meet. Kumbaga, virtual learning ang mangyayari. Next is online learning allows live synchronous instruction. Sunod, more interactive than the other types of distance learning and the responses are in real time. Siyempre kasi pwede naman pwedeng sumagot ang bata. Halimbawa, pwede siyang mag-recite through gamit ng ating Google Meet, or pwede din naman tayo via Google Classroom. Next, learners may download materials from the internet, complete and submit assignments online, and attend webinars and virtual classes. So, di ba sa atin nga dito sa ating LDM2 natin po, meron tayong Google Classroom wherein yung mga materials and yung activities natin is nandun na sa ating Google Classroom para ma-review natin at the same time, pag tapos is pwede natin sagutan yung ating mga activities na hindi natapos. Sunod po, we have requirements that must be available. Hindi basta tayo pwedeng ito gusto natin. Meron tayong kailangang requirements. Una, the school has an educational platform or learning management system, either subscription-based or locally developed. Next, we have the school has the technical expertise to run and support the educational platform 24/7. Technical expertise can be in-house or outsourced, or a combination depending on the nature of the development. The more in-house or locally developed is the hosted platform. The higher the degree of the technical support personnel required. So, di ba meron tayo, ano nga po ba ang tawag doon? Meron tayong support na manggagaling sa creative teams natin. Kung hindi man natin maintindihan, so para maturo sa atin kung ano yung dapat. Ano ba yung basic knowledge na kailangan natin para sa distance learning or online distance learning, which is, naganap na nung nakaraan, tinuruan tayo kung ano-ano yung mga pwede nating gamitin para sa ating distance or online distance learning. The school has email facility or domain name for all teachers and users. So meron na po tayo niyan, which is yung deped.gov.ph. The schools has help desk personnel working under the platform managers whose main task will be to directly answer usage queries of both teachers and students. So, meron tayong team para po dyan. The school has completed and appropriate content for Q1 in the platform. So again, meron na din po tayo niyan, which is naibigay na po natin or nasubmit na dapat. Together with the content, the school has proper assessment available in the platform. The same assessment should be regularly reviewed and updated. So hindi pwedeng naka-idle lang yan, hindi natin titingnan or hindi natin re-review and updated. Dapat lagi nakasunod sa kung ano man ang ibinababa na mga memos. Next, the school has institutionalized the training and updating the teachers to be more technologically adept. So, dito nga, di ba, nagkakaroon tayo ng maraming mga trainings para mas maging effective tayo ngayon sa kinakaharap natin new normal environment in educational setup. Sunod po, we have teachers have access to devices and connectivity at the school. So, meron naman, pero dahil nasa iba't iba tayong lugar at nasa kanya-kanya tayong bahay, so, meron naman tayong access sa mga devices. So, dapat, ayan nga po una natin provide as teachers. Meron tayong devices na pwede natin gamitin. And, syempre, connectivity. So, lahat naman tayo siguro merong way para maka-connect. Next, the learners have access to the necessary resources, device connectivity to access the lessons. Next, we have the parents have expressed willingness to the option of online distance learning for their children. So lahat naman po ng parents ay tinanong natin kung anong gusto nila na learning modality para sa kanilang mga anak. Hindi po tayo ang nag-decide noon, sila po ang nag-decide dapat. Requirements that should be addressed by the school as soon as possible. The school orients the teachers, parents, and learners about the online learning policies and directions. So ayan po ay naganap na, nakapag-orient na po tayo kung ano ba dapat, ano po yung online learning na yan, ano po yung online learning policies and mga directions. The school has technology knowledge enhancement program wherein regular training or seminars are given to teachers, students, and parents. The teachers are well-oriented on DepEd policies relating to online distance learning to freely access the needed resources according by department like DepEd Commons and LRMDS. So nitong mga nakarang araw, di ba, pinapa-update po sa atin yung DepEd Commons natin. Kung makikita po natin dyan, meron na yung mga lesson po na pwede nating gamitin sa ating mga materials po na pwede nating i-adopt. Next, the parents are willing to co-supervise and co-monitor the progress of their children's online learning. Kumbaga, nandun pa rin po sila para mag-supervise sa kanilang mga anak. Next, we have TV or radio-based instruction. So ito, meron na po nito tayo nakikita. Meron na po tayong DepEd channel. Utilizes school learning materials converted to video lessons for television-based instruction, and SLMS converted to radio descriptions for radio-based instruction. So dito, kumbaga, ina-advance natin yung, parang tawag dito, i-video natin sarili natin para gamitin ng bata, pwede nilang isaksak yun sa TV nila, or pwede din naman natin itong gamitin yung sa ating DepEd channel, which is meron ng nagtuturo. Kumbaga mag-guide na din po sila. Blended learning. So sa blended learning, kailangan connected learning, online learning, global connection. So meron tayong mga social media platforms, project-based learning, and face-to-face. When you say blended learning, it is learning delivery that combines face-to-face with any or a mix of online distance learning, modular distance learning, and TV or radio-based instruction. Pero sabi nga, hindi pa rin applicable yung ating face-to-face na learning. Enable the schools to limit face-to-face learning, ensure social distancing, and decrease the volume of people outside the home at any given time. So kumbaga meron pa rin po tayong social distancing. Nasusunod pa rin po natin yung mga protocol para sa COVID-19. Next is homeschooling. So, sa homeschooling nga, sabi dyan, hello, my name is Mom. Wherein, ang teacher ng mga bata is ang kanilang mga magulang. O kung sino man po ang maaari or may kakayanan sa kanilang bahay. Pwede po yung nakatatandang kapatid o mga extended family po nila. Homeschooling, an alternative delivery modality that aims to provide learners with quality basic education that is facilitated by qualified parents. Ano nga po sinabi? Qualified parents, may kakayanan, guardians or tutors who have undergone relevant training in a home-based environment. Next, it allows families to educate according to their personal faith, philosophy, and values, and to adjust learning schedules around family schedules and circumstances. So, meron pa ring oras kung na ilalagay para sa learning o para sa pag-aaral ng bata sa family and kung ano pa mga dapat. Next, we have several issues in its implementation, supervision of licensed teacher, and alignments with the curriculum. Sunod, we have this modality will be subject of a later DepEd issuance before its expansions kasi meron pang mga issues. Oops, activity 1 agad. O, sabi dito sa activity 1, ayon sa mga delivery modalities na na-discuss kanina, which of the learning delivery modalities do not have an face-to-face learning component? So, puro na po to activity. So, that's all for my topic. Thank you. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much. Ma'am, is this your first time?
Opo.
Okay, that's good for a first timer. Puro po mga 2 chances na lang po and you're good to go na po. So,
Thank you, Ma'am Irene. Ma'am Chris, permission to talk. Ma'am Kabalang is here. Let us all welcome her.
okay, let us welcome.
Good morning.
Our-
Good morning.
our
Good morning.
morning,
This
Ma'am
is Team
Maggie.
16, right?
Yes po.
Yeah, good morning, Team 16. So I am happy of what you are doing. Okay, so narinig ko nga na may first time na nag-present. Congratulations, congratulations. So if ever you were given a task, you have to be thankful because only if you are given opportunities to shine. To shine. Kung binigyan man kayo ng mga leaders nyo ng chance to deliver, to help in the delivery of the different modules, just be thankful. Kung sa isip nyo naman na eto ay hindi ko kakayanin, I don't have enough knowledge pa pagdating ng ganyan, may nakita kasi ng isang leader na kakayanin nyo. So yung opportunity na yon, yung trust na yon na ibinigay sa inyo, you have to grab that opportunity. Kasi sabi ko nga, bibihira yung nabibigyan ng opportunity mga ganon. So you might as well do your best. Ngayon, kung hindi mo naman talaga kakayanin, then you have your LAC leaders here to help you, to guide you. At kahit man din ako nandito to guide you. So, chill lang. Team 16. I know during the weekend, you have already browsed the whole module, nakita nyo na, at napansin nyo ba na lahat ng mga iyon ay ginagawa nyo na? We are just concretizing, we are just putting everything into documents so that you will be able to finish the course. Lahat iyon, nagsimula sa module 1 hanggang dun sa module 5, lahat iyon ay nagawa nyo na. Probably dun sa LAC ay kung meron man medyo vague na processes during the past, pagdating sa conduct ng LAC ay makikita nyo din along the way, we'll learn together, we'll travel together. So, if merong mga vague areas along the way, nandyan ang LAC leader nyo at co-LAC leader nyo at even me, you could PM me. So, mga ganun lang. Pero if you have some problems on the connection or on the accomplishment of some documents, nandyan ang member ng LMCG to guide you. Because these members have been doing 24 hours, have been chatting 24 hours. Even nung last Saturday, they have been working on what to do with the documents. Gusto ko lang kayong bigyan ng focus na ang pagtuunan nyo ng pansin ay yung mga required outputs to be submitted via Google Classroom. Parang bata lang yan parang estudyante lang yan. Na kung ano yung indicator lang on how to be graded, doon lang mag-focus. So, you have already the list of those of the required outputs to be turned in via Google Classroom. Kung meron man mga activities na nakalagay na you are going to work on them via notebook, this will be included in the portfolio. Notebook and portfolio are the same. So, yung mga nakalagay sa notebook nyo na hindi naman dapat i-turn in, hindi yun itin-turn in sa Google Classroom. Ngayon, ilalagay nyo sa notebook nyo na ito ay i-attach sa portfolio. Pagdating sa portfolio, the LMCG has crafted a unified template para sa cover. Kasi ayokong nagkakaroon ng discrimination. Ayokong nagkakaroon sila ng feeling na ay ako hindi kasi ako mahusay pagdating sa paggawa ng ganyan. So, walang very simple lang yung template ko. Whereas if you are going to compare it dun sa iba na napakahuhusay, kaganda nga. So ayoko ng mga ganong feeling ng bawat isa. So that's why we have created a unified template para sa cover ng portfolio. Para doon ay kahit man lang doon walang makakaalam na ito ay sa pagde-design ay magkakaiba ang nalalaman. Yun din ang purpose ng Unified PowerPoint Template. Iisa lang ang gagamitin kasi alam ko napakamaraming mahuhusay na pagdating sa technical. So, ayokong mararamdaman ng mga iba na hindi marunong pagdating dyan sa mga ganyan man lang na bagay. So, mag-focus lang kayo doon. I would like to share a personal side. Gaya ng nabanggit ko, mag-focus kayo doon sa required output to be submitted. Baka tanungin nyo, ma'am, yung mga hindi required ba, pwedeng hindi nagagawin? Yeah, okay lang din yun sa inyo. Pero gusto kong i-present ito personal side. When I have undertaken the CMEU scholarship, meron lang din kami required output. Online classes din yon for how many months. Meron lang kaming dapat i-turn in. Doon lang kami din grade-gradan. Pero ako, hindi yung sinabi na yung mga chat sessions namin with the tutor and my classmates, lahat iyon iprint ko. Pati yung modules iprint ko yon. At ito ay niring-bind ko as my portfolio. MOBs ko yon. Kasi from time to time, ngayon in my leadership journey, pwede ko din balikan yon. Ito pinag-usapan namin ng tutor ko. During that time, may mga issues na ganito, na erase, ito pala ang dapat gawin. I could always go back as my reference along the way sa aking professional work. So, ganun din yun dapat sa inyo. Hindi nyo na pagdadaanan muli ito kasi patatapos na. Pero lahat, if you are going to document everything. Kahit nga sa mga chat boxes, if you have, for example, ikaw mismo ay nag-chat ka dyan na ito ay malabo yun sa'yo, pwede mong i-screenshot yun at yun ay pwede mong i-print. Kasi MOVs yan, ako nag-undergo ako niyan, mga ganun ba? At pwede mo nga yun balik-balikan. Masarap yung pakiramdam na ganun na lahat ay documented para magagamit mo din yan balang araw. Lahat ng mga iyan. So kahit pa ito ay hindi required, kung ito ay ikaw ay gusto mong may reference ka sa bilang professional na guro o kaya bilang sa pagtuturo mo balang araw, pwede mo po iyon gawin. Okay, so ganun lang mga kasama. If you have some questions, andyan ang LAC leader nyo, andyan ang co-LAC leader. Then kapag may problema kayo dito sa mga technicals, yun, nandyan naman ang Miss Magda na member ng LMCG. So muli, maraming salamat po sa inyo at maya-maya lang ay aalis din ako kasi nag-meet hopping ako ngayong umaga. But before I go, do you have some suggestions? Do you have some queries? Meron bang medyo malabo sa inyo?
Thank you, Ma'am Mali. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Okay. Yes, Miss Grace.
Apo, ma'am, for all you know, natutuwa ako and I'm so grateful to this team because all the speakers for this morning, I did not ask from her, but then voluntary po silang nag-offer ng kanilang sarili to share and be part of this LAC sessions. I just posted the materials to the group chat and I asked them na kung sino ang gusto at lahat sila ay welcome. At hindi po kami nahirapan ni Ms. Diga sa pag-assign even create ng program because lahat po sila ay very willing. Kaya sobrang grateful po ako.
Yeah. That's good. Sabi ko nga, opportunities only knock once. Ganun yun.
Yes po.
If you are given the time to shine, go. Ganun lang yon. Ngayon, kung may papalpak na sa ginawa mo sa pag-volunteer, you have to learn from there. Ganun lang yon. Sino ba? Kahit man din ako bilang leader, I have also some flaws. And I am learning also from you. Ganun lang yon. Walang ano yon. Walang monopoly of knowledge. We do not, lahat ito, alam ko na, no. Meron tayong kanya-kanyang kahinaan, kanya-kanyang strengths, at we learn from each other. Ganun lang yon. So, thank you for that, Miss Grace. Thank you for that. Basta yon, palagi kayong mag-explore kung hanggang saan yung limit ng kakayahan nyo. And you have to share that because you are given that blessing. Ganun lang yon. Okay, ngayon kung meron naman kayong maririnig na basher, oh well, sorry. Pero I will take that for me to grow. Ganun lang yun. Ganun lang. Okay, so maraming salamat po. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma'am Mali. Have a nice day po. God bless. Thank you so much. Miss Chris, take it away po.
Thank you so much, Mama Esmalia Cabalang, our ever-supportive principal. Thank you for entrusting us. That boosts our confidence po to do more. Thank you rin po for reminding us about our outputs, about being open, because Many are called, but few are chosen. So tama po si Ma'am Mali. So ako rin po as my personal experience, I learned that kaya po natin, even po we're just starting to do everything po for the sake of our stakeholders. So for Ma'am Eileen Estorga, who has just finished presenting, I would like to thank her for sharing a part of herself to us. So we learned that the learning modalities, although po ito na po yung ating, it has been almost our talk of our topics, we still learn something from Miss Mylene Astorga po. So adya po, Miss Mylene Astorga. Thank you so much. Mathematics teacher po, si Ma'am Mylene. So our next, moving on po. So we will be having our co-teacher, the department chairman of Filipino, none other than Miss Emily Estanislao. She's going to also talk about lesson design and assessment in the modalities. So the floor is yours, Miss Emily Estanislao.
Hello, good morning po. Naririnig po ba ako malakas? Hello po.
Yes. Opo, opo ma'am.
Okay. Thank you po sa ating MC. Thank you po. Good morning, ma'am. Kung nandyan pa si ma'am, good morning, Ma'am Grace. And sa lahat po ng member ng Group 16. Especially po kay Am na napakatyaga sa akin. Thank you, Am. Nagkaroon tayo ng konting problema. Akala ko nakalusot na ako eh. Hindi pala. Thank you very much. So, for this morning, ito po bali yung kasunod ng talk ni Mylene. And by the way, congratulations dun sa naunang dalawa. Bigla akong kinabahan kasi ano pala sila eh, mga baguhan. Ibig sabihin ako yung hindi baguhan dito. Kaya naku, dapat pala pagbutihin ko dahil hindi na ito yung first time eh. So, to continue po, ang sinasabi ko kanina, ang lesson ko po ngayon ay karugtong po nung kay Mylene. Under Module 3, Lesson 2, ang Module 3A, Lesson 2 po, kung pupuntahan nyo po yung guide, yung mga nandun po sa classroom, meron po siyang 3 lesson doon. Yung una po yung napunta kay Mylene. Tapos po ito yung pangalawa, yung tinatawag natin designing lesson and assessment in different LDMs. And then meron pa pong isa, yung pangatlo, yung monitoring in learners in different LDM. Okay. Bago po ako magsimula, ano po ba sabihin ng LDM? Ayan, kitang-kita na. Pwede pong mag-chat. Pwede po. Ano po nga po ba yun? Okay, magbukas po kayo ng, ng mic nyo. Ano po yung sabihin ng LDM? Naku, napipi na sila. Wala na yata akong kasama.
Yeah, it's Learning Delivery Modalities.
Dapat po nasa ano na natin yan. Nasa vocabulary na natin lagi. Okay, so ulitin po natin ang aking lesson ay part 2 ng nauna kay Mylene, designing lesson and assessment in different learning delivery modality. So kung titingnan nyo po ito, lahat ito ay makikita nyo po sa LAC session guide na nasa classroom na natin ngayong umaga. Ayun, next po. Ang objective po ng lesson natin ngayon ay ito. Identify the components of well-designed lesson applicable to all LDM. So, ina-expect po na magde-design tayo ng lesson plan. Hindi na siya tinatawag na DLL ngayon, kundi ano na?
Learning exemplar.
Okay. Ang pangalawa po natin ay enumerate learning tasks that can be incorporated in the distance learning o DL learning lesson to ensure the achievement of learning objectives. Of course, syempre may mga, pag gumawa ka ng lesson plan, may mga ano yan, learning tasks na nakapaloob. Next po. At pagkatapos po nito, tayo po ay makakapili ng isang makagawa ng formative and summative assessment na maisasama po natin sa lesson para po sa ating mga student. At syempre, kailangan po natin ng feedback. Okay, next po. Ngayon, ang key topics po o ang konsepto po ng lesson na to o yung part 2 ay tungkol po sa formative assessment. Of course, alam natin lahat yan. Pag gumawa tayo ng lesson plan, ito po yung mga nilalaman. Formative assessment, learning materials, meron pong learning tasks, ito yung lesson design, then after po nun, syempre may pinapagawa tayo sa bata, ilalagay po nila sa kanilang portfolio, and para matest kung talaga natutunan ng lesson, kailangan po natin ng summative assessment. Kino-consider po ba natin na ang isa sa summative assessment ay ang quarterly periodical test na binibigay natin? Pwede pong sumagot. Ang quarterly exam po ba ay okay?
Yes po.
Isa po yan sa part o sample ng summative assessment. Okay, next po. Ngayon, bibigyan ko po kayo ng idea kung ano-ano itong mga to. Lahat po ng ito ay nasa ating classroom na. Yung iba po nasa email. So by this time, dapat po nabasa nyo na to kahit papano kasi lalo na yung may mga answer key. Magiging guide po natin ito sa mga activities na gagawin natin. Napakarami. Nung binisita ko po itong Module 3, ito po yung pinakamaraming activity. Hindi ako nagkakamali, mga 7 activities po yung nakalagay dito. Kaya ang dami, tingnan nyo. Ngayon, iisa-isahin ko lang po to para may idea kayo. Ito pong DepEd Order, number 42, yung policy po ito tungkol sa, lahat po ito mula sa DepEd Order hanggang dito sa Principle of Instruction, lahat po siya ay nasa classroom na. So ito po yung number 1, yung DepEd Order number 42. Tungkol po ito sa policy guidelines nung DLL na ngayon ay LE na. Ngayon, ito pong DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015. Tungkol naman po ito sa classroom assessment. And of course, itong principle of instruction, nakikita nyo rin po paano ito natin gagamitin sa ating mga activities na ipapasa natin later. And syempre, dahil gagawa tayo ng lesson, magde-design tayo ng lesson. Hindi pala siya simpleng paggawa ng lesson plan, kundi magde-design po tayo ng lesson through, ano po yung DL? Pwede pong sumagot.
Learning exemplar.
Ano po?
Learning exemplar po.
Distance learning.
Okay, very good. Ang DL po ay distance learning kasi hindi na tayo yung nasa normal situation. Kaya, distance learning po ang, nakadesign po ang lesson plan natin sa distance learning. So malalaman natin kung ano-ano yung bahaging yan. And of course, alam ko na familiar na kayo sa paggawa ng lesson plan o yung tinatawag natin lesson exemplar. Okay? Ngayon, ito pong lesson 2, activity 1, kung titingnan nyo po doon sa, mabilis lang to, kung titingnan nyo po doon sa classroom, ano po yung nilalaman nito, ito po ay mga memo about distance, DepEd Commons. Mga DepEd Commons. Pag binuksan nyo pa po, meron po kayo makikitang video o LR portal na official source of DepEd, developed and DepEd approved teaching learning resources. Yun pong mga URL na ginagamit natin, nakapaloob po siya sa mga DepEd portals. Ngayon, pag doon po sa classroom, wala po akong nakitang lesson 2, activity 2. Hindi ko po alam kung bakit. Basta wala po akong nakitang ganon. Pero yung lesson 2, activity 3, meron po siyang nakalagay doon. So, susundan nyo. Dito natin makikita sa lesson 2, activity 3, ang principal instruction. At saka may mga answer key po. So, makakatulong sa inyo kung gagawa po tayo ng mga activities kasi meron siyang mga answer key. Okay? So, kung titingnan naman po natin yung, wala po ako nakitang activity 2, pero meron pong, dun po sa classroom, may nakalagay po na lesson 2, activity 4. Ito po ang mga learning tasks na susunod po sa aking susunod na slides. Makikita na po natin yan. And then, yung activity 5 naman po, kung titingnan nyo rin, ay nakapaloob po dito ang mga formative and summative assessment. May sample din po, may answer key, kaya madadalian lang kayo sa inyong mga gagawin. Okay? And then, dito po sa activity 5 o activity 7, lesson 2, activity 7, ang nilalaman naman po niya ay guidelines on the preparation of portfolios and e-portfolios. Meron din po siyang activity, answer key, kaya madali lang. Okay? Ngayon, nabanggit po ni ma'am yung study notebook. Nalito din ako. Kung gusto nyo malaman ano po ba itong study notebook, buksan nyo rin po yung classroom kasi makikita nyo yung ano yung mga pamantayan niya, paano siya ginagawa. Nandun po lahat ang sagot. Okay? Next po, ma'am. Ngayon, sabi ko po, ito yung activity natin. So, ito po ay guided ng division memo, yung nabanggit ko. Paggawa ng daily lesson plan. Okay, dati po anong tawag? DLL. Ngayon ay tinatawag na nating lesson exemplar. Oo. At susundan natin yung idea format. And then, kung nagawa nyo na po to, nakita nyo na po to sa classroom, pwede nyo na pong sagutan ang sumusunod na tanong sa inyong study notebook. Next po. Ito po yung pinaka-activity na activity 1 natin. Ayan. So, meron po siyang tatlong tanong. What is lesson designing or lesson planning? May pagkakaiba ba yung dalawang yan? And then, ano po ang pagkakaiba ng kahalagahan ng lesson designing? And then, yung pong 3 elements. 3 elements nito. So, pag nagawa niyo po yan, meron po kayong makikitang answer key doon sa ating classroom para malaman niyo. Okay, next po. Ngayon, sa activity 2 po, meron po tayong dalawang component. So, second component sa pagde-design ng ating lesson exemplar. Kanina nabanggit ko yung idea. Ngayon, meron po siyang tatlong bahagi. Before the lesson, during the lesson, and after the lesson. Sa Pilipino po, ang tawag namin dito sa before the lesson, gawain bago bumasa. Yung number 2 po, gawain habang bumabasa. At yung pangatlo, gawain pagkatapos bumasa. So, maya-apply po ba natin itong mga activity na to sa ating lesson exemplar ngayong nagagawin natin? Kasi ito ay naka-base sa DLL natin last time, di ba? Sige, tingnan na natin, ma'am. Ayan. So, ito po yung magiging format ng inyong activity 2. Before the lesson, after the lesson, may tatlo. Makikita daw po ito sa inyong study notebook. Ganito ang magiging format. Huwag pong mag-alala kasi pwede po tayo mandaya dito kasi may sample siya doon sa classroom. Makikita nyo at madali lang po siyang gawin. Okay, next po. Ngayon, ano po itong mga learning tasks na to? Para po mas mabilis, sige na po natin patatagalin. Next nga, ma'am, next. Meron po siyang 10 ba? O ilan ba to? Yung susunod pa. Ayan. Meron siyang 10 learning tasks. May 10 learning tasks. Okay, balik po tayo dun sa una. Doon sa learning task. Ayan. So, wrap up activities, review lessons, clarify concepts, state lesson objectives, provide learners with feedback. O, next po. Susunod, ayan, yung 6 to 9. Pakibasa nyo po. Ayan, marami siya, di ba? 6 to 10. Okay, ngayon, ang gagawin nyo lang po sa mga learning tasks na to ay ilalagay nyo po siya doon sa 3 column na ipinakita ko kanina. Yung column po ng before, during, and after the lesson. I-arrange nyo lang po siya. Before, yung lesson proper, and after the lesson. Ano po yung mga learning tasks na dapat ay nasa before the lesson, nasa lesson proper, and then after the lesson. I-arrange nyo lang po siya. So, yun po ang magiging resulta o gagawin natin sa activity 2 na nabanggit ko kanina. Okay? May tanong po ba kayo? Palagay ko wala. Next po.
Wala na po.
Next po. Malapit na ako. Susunod, Ma'am Ann. Ayan. Ngayon, sa activity po, sa activity 3 po, nakalagay dito, lesson design does not after implementing the lesson. After the delivery of the lesson, teachers should take time to reflect what worked well and why and what could have been done differently. Identifying successful activities and strategies would make it easier to adjust and revise the lesson as needed. Ayan, siguro nagkaroon na kayo ng idea kasi kanina may tanong, magkaiba po ba yung lesson design sa ordinaryong paggawa natin ng lesson plan? Of course, ipinaliliwanag po dito na meron siyang malaking pagkakaiba. Pag po daw nag-design tayo ng lesson, dapat po daw after na matapos natin ito, na i-deliver na, kailangan daw po nating mag-reflect. Ginagawa po ba natin ito? Of course, dapat ginagawa natin. Kasi, di ba sinasabi nga, pagkatapos ng lesson, successful ba ako? Na i-deliver ko ba ng tama? Kaya nga, nung DLL pa tayo, K-12, sabagay K-12 pa naman tayo ngayon. Di ba? Ang lagi nating nakuha ko ba ang layunin? Nakuha ba ng bata? Tinitingnan natin yung resulta nito sa exam, di ba? Yung after ng test. Ngayon, kung
quizzes, short quizzes.
Oo. Ngayon, kung hindi, parang, duda ako, parang hindi natin nakuha yung, sa pagre-reflect natin, hindi yata bagay sa klase na to yung strategy na to. Pang section 1 to, o kaya pang matatalino. So, pag nag-reflect tayo, magde-design tayo ng isang lesson na parang re-reteach. Yun po yung ibig sabihin, inire-reteach natin. Na hindi naman natin nagagawa lagi, pero by this time, dapat po daw ay gagawin natin. Kasi hindi nga natin kaharap yung bata. Diba? May joke pa po kami nung mga kaibigan ko po. Sabi namin, ang hirap magturo ngayon, kasi pag nabubuisit ka sa bata, hindi mo po pwedeng pukpukin. Okay, pagalitan kasi ang layo nila, hindi mo naman pwedeng kasi diba pag hindi naintindihan kahit pa paano, pwede mong panlakyan ng mata. Ngayon, hindi na raw pwede. Diba? So, kailangan talaga natin silang i-reach out kasi hindi natin sila kasama sa panahon ng kanilang pag-aaral. So, ang reflection po ay mahalaga. Okay po? Ngayon, sa study notebook daw po ninyo, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, kakopyahin nyo po yung components ng daily lesson log, daily lesson log or detailed lesson plan. Ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina. Dati, DLL ang ginagamit natin o DLP. Pero ngayon ay iba na. Tapos, i-highlight daw po natin yung mga yun. Okay? O, next po. Yan. O, ito po yung activity 3 na natin. Sa activity 3, di ba may objectives tayo, yung components dati ng DLL. Kinompare lang naman sila. So, ngayon, na nasa pandemic tayo, nasa new normal, ito na po yung magiging part ng lesson plan natin. And sa palagay ko naman, kabisado na natin ito. Wala na tayong tanong sa idea, ano ba to, yung format na to. Okay po? Next. Yan. Pag nasagutan nyo daw po yon, syempre may answer key, malalaman ninyo kung tumama kayo o hindi. Sabi ko nga, pwede pong mangopya. Bakit hindi? Tingnan nyo, makikita nyo yan. Ayan. Ang sinasabi po dito na magiging ano lang natin to, parang nabanggit ko na rin to kanina, ito po ay magiging parang batayan natin sa pagsagot ng activity 3. Pag inopen nyo po yung classroom, may makikita po kayo doon na ito, yung principle of instruction. Meron po siyang paliwanag, kaya makikita nyo, maiintindihan nyo kung ano po yung sinasabi sa activity 3. Okay? Next po. Yan. Patapos na ako. At pag-isipan po natin ito, failing to plan is failing to fail. So ano po ibig sabihin? Lahat po ng gagawin natin, dapat pinagpaplanuhan para maging successful ang ating outcome. Okay, and then sabi po dito, I facilitate thinking, I engage mind, I listen to questions, I encourage curious, I support, struggle, cultivate dreams, and I learn every day, I teach. I wish sana po lahat ng mga kasama natin, sama po kayo dyan, ka-Heneral. Dapat po sana ito ang ating maging kaisipan. Thank you and good morning, everyone. That ends my topic.
Thank you so much, Emily.
Pag may tanong po kayo, pwede po kayong magtanong mamaya sa chat box. Thank you po.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Emily, for guiding us in the designing and the importance of the lesson design, for guiding us in the activities. Okay, thank you so much. You are truly the pride of the Philippine Department and the pride of GLGMNHS. I love you po, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Kaya naman ako sobra, di ba? Bakit yung dalawa, hindi mo nabanggitan. Sobra naman to. Baka magalit sa akin yung nauna. Thank you.
Anyway po, ma'am. Naalala ko lang po yung mga gagawin ko. Patagal ng patagal. Ayan po. So, before we proceed to the next, the part 3 of the lesson design, let me just read some part of the chat box, some of your comments. Very important, that should be delivered sa inyo. Sabi po kay yung kanina pa po, sabi ni Ma'am Andrea Grace Giana, you did it well, Miss Lani. Thank you so much po. And then for another one, thank you, Miss Mylene from Ma'am Grace ulit. We are enlightened po about different modalities. It's very clear po. Thank you po. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Thank you, Ate M. Sisiw na lang ang paggawa ng lesson exemplar, di ba? Thanks so much po. Truly, it's that easy, lalo na po kung nagtutulungan po tayo. At yan po. So, I have a suggestion po, if you are willing po, kasi po parang masakit na po yung mga balakang natin. Say yes po kung okay lang sa inyo na tatayo tayo. Isa-isa, iikot. Tapos po, kung sino po yung makita sa screen, Ang babanggitin niyo po. Is it okay for you po? Yes po ba? May kausap po ba ako?
Yes!
Yes! O, sige po.
Yan!
Tayo. Sige po, si Ma'am Kabi po, tatayo po, iikot sa upuan at tuturo po kung sino yung nakita niya. Is it okay? Sige po, open niyo po yung ano po. Tayo ka po, ma'am. Ikot. Tapos turo niyo po yung pangalan na nakita niyo. Open your microphone po.
Ikaw lang nakita ko. Picture mo. At saka si Ma'am Ems.
Very good. Ibig sabihin, nandito talaga. Nakikinig talaga si Ma'am. Okay. Thank you so much po. Now it's time for who else pa ba? Dali po. Dali po. Miss Anne, can you change the ano? Yan, yung, nag-change ba kung sino yung nasa harapan? So, ma'am, let's call on. Hindi. Okay. So, si Ma'am Kabe. Si Ma'am Cynthia po. Is she here, Ma'am Cynthia?
Yes po.
Okay, stand up po. Then, ikot po. Okay. Pwede naman po sigurong simultaneous tayo, no? Sige po. Tayo po. Yan. Sino po? Sino po nakita?
Ang dami ko po nakita.
Isa lang po sasabihin niyo, ma'am.
Okay, si Ma'am Mary Christine de Guzman.
Thank you so much po. Yan, si Ma'am Christine naman po. Si Ma'am Christine.
Hello, good morning. Good morning,
yan, thank you so much po. Yung kending-kending lang. Yan, tapos po, turo niyo po kung sino yung nakita. Yan po yung susunod.
Ma'am Lea Salvador, thank you.
Si Ma'am Salvador. Ma'am Salvador, you can now stand up.
Good morning.
Ayan po. Ayan.
Ayan. Kailangan ko bang umikot-ikot din?
Kending-kending na lang po. Yeah.
Grabe naman. Naka-short nga lang ako. Ikot.
Ikaw lang naka-short, ako naka-panty lang.
Kaya po,
ang dami ko nakikita sa screen eh. Lahat ba ituturo ko?
Isa lang po yung next na hindi pa nakakaikot.
Si Ma'am Susie.
Si Ma'am Susie, you are in. Ma'am Susie. Ayan, si Ma'am Susie.
Go, Ma'am Susie.
Ma'am Susie.
Kaya, Ma'am Susie, kaya bang ikot? Kamay na lang.
Ikot mo daw yung biometric mo.
Ganyan-ganyan na lang. Ayan. Thank you so much, Ma'am Susie. And sino po yung next?
Ma'am Christian, kanta tayo.
Ma'am Susie, sino po yung nakita nyo next? Hindi pa na ano?
Ako daw.
Si Ma'am Lani. Si Ma'am Lani po.
Kita ba? Hindi ako makita. Ang gagawin? Binibili daw.
Para po, yung bewang ko po ay...
Anong gagawin?
Yan. Yan po.
Yan?
Yan. Tapos turo niyo po yung next.
Next, si Ma'am Nancy Corda.
Si Ma'am Nancy.
Pag sumayaw yan.
OMG, ako ba? Mag-open ba ako ng cam?
Oh, syempre.
Okay, ako
mag-open. Di ba?
Ayan.
Okay na.
Okay, naka-record to, ma'am.
Okay na ba?
Okay naman po. O sige, sige na po sa'yo. At ikaw po yung next na ano po, na facilitator. Itutuloy na po natin. Thank you so much po for participating. Mamaya naman po yung iba na hindi naka-participate or hindi naka-ikot. Yan. So it's time for Mrs. Nancy O. Corda for the part 3 of lesson designs.
Ayan.
Papakita ka po ng picture mo, ma'am. Nagpe-present na po ba ako?
Ma'am Christian.
Yes
po. Ma'am Excelda po.
Ay, may Ma'am Excelda po pala. Ay, sorry po. I thought si Ma'am Excelda po. I'm sorry. Si Ma'am Excelda na po for the next part of the lesson design. Okay?
Ay, si Ma'am Excelda? Akala ko ka na.
Sandali lang po. Tingnan ko po yung ano. Ayan. Si Ma'am Si Ma'am Nancy kasi nakalagay dito, ma'am. Sige po. Anyway, our next speaker is Miss Excelda Agaid, MAPE teacher. Is this your first time din po, ma'am? Ma'am Excelda, okay na po? Hello? Ma'am Agaid? Hello, Is she here po? Nandito pa po si Ma'am Excelda.
Opo, nandito po.
Thank you so much po. Ma'am Excelda, sorry po, it's your turn po pala. Kasi sa listahan, nakala ko si Ma'am Nancy na. Susunod pa po pala si Ma'am Nancy. Is it okay? Are you
Ma'am Zelda, ano po? Ako po magpe-present.
Ma'am Excelda, Ma'am Excel.
Ma'am Excelda.
Paki-on po yung mic, Ma'am Excelda. Zelda. So, ano gagawin natin? Ay, ayan na po.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, ma'am, nagsiaya ako. Ma'am, ako na po ba?
Opo, kayo na po daw.
Ay, sorry po. Okay, sige po, ma'am. Opo, mag-share screen na lang po ako, ma'am.
Okay po. Wait lang po. Stop sharing ko lang po yung sa akin, ma'am.
Jumeb pa si ma'am.
Opo, nagsiya ako. Opo. Akala ko si Ma'am Nancy pa kasi eh.
Jumeb muna si ma'am.
May presentation slides kayo? May slides? Presentation? Ayan na po, Miss Am.
Yes po.
Ayan po. Open na po yung screen.
Ma'am Zelda, ako po mag-share o kayo po?
Ako na lang po, ma'am.
Okay po, sige po. Take it away, ma'am.
Take it away.
Kita na po ba?
Yes po.
Okay po. Good morning, everyone. Good morning po sa ating lahat, mga magaganda at gwapong teacher ng Geronimo High School. So ako po ay naatasang mag-discuss about continuation of activities for lesson 2, module 3A, part 3. Ang lesson, it starts with the lesson 2 activity for learning tasks. To be able to understand what is learning task, we can read and understand the handout about designing lesson in distance learning. And in your study notebook, create and accomplish the following table. So meron po tayo dito yung accomplish na table bilang presentation ng ating learning task. Then choose one lesson from a self-learning module for students that you have on hand. Imagine that you will deliver this lesson to your learners through distance learning. In the second column, identify which of these tasks are already present in the self-learning module. In the third column, identify which has to be presented via technology-mediated resources, supplementary learning materials, or other materials. So, kung na-view na po natin, maaari pong lahat naman sa atin ay na-view na po yung mga lessons na nasa ating Google Classroom. At dito po sa designing lesson in distance learning, nakapaloob po dito yung kung paano natin i-accomplish itong learning task. So meron po siyang table na kailangan i-accomplish. Ito palimbawa dito is the learning delivery modality, select one. So sinelect po natin yung online distance learning. And then yung grade level and learning area, lesson or topic, then learning objectives, learning resources or materials, and learning resources or materials needed. So, ito po yung example ng learning task. Part of lesson, or learning task. So, meron pong mga column dito. Yung first column na dito nga po nakalagay, yung before the lesson. So, tatandaan po natin na pag tayo po ay gumawa ng ating learning task, we should design this course content and delivery, or yung tinatawag nating objective, na it should be clear, easy to find, and provide all the information needed by the learner. Bakit po? Bakit po kailangan it should be clear, easy to find, and it provide information needed by the learner? Because the teacher is not always there. So kailangan easy siya and clear dahil sa distance learning po, especially pag modular nga siya, ang teacher ay hindi naman laging nandoon to guide the students at all times, especially when lessons are delivered via distance learning modality. Objective should be clearly communicated. It provides the students direction so that they can go through the materials and activities with these goals in mind. So, dito po sa sample ng table, meron po dito yung sinabi nga ni Ma'am Emily, is divided into parang 3 parts. Meron yung before the lesson. Pag before the lesson, dito po nakaloob yung review, previous lesson. Actually, ito pong mga nandito is para din naman yung makikita natin sa ating daily lesson log. Ano po? Meron tayong review previous lesson, clarify concepts from previous lesson, present warm-up activities to establish interest in new lesson, check learners' prior knowledge about the new lesson, present connection between old and new lesson, and establish purpose for new lesson. Then state lesson objective as guide for learners. Sa proper lesson naman po, nandito yung explain, model, demonstrate, and illustrate the concepts, ideas, skills, and processes that students will eventually internalize, help learners understand and master new information, provide learners with feedback. Number 4, check for learners' understanding. And after the lesson, nandito po yung wrap-up activities. Number 2, emphasize key information and concepts discussed. Number 3, ask learners to recall key activities and concepts discussed. Number 4, reinforce what teacher has taught. Number 5, assess whether lesson has been mastered. And number 6, transfer ideas and concept to new situation. And there's a column sa column row 2. Nandito po nakalagay, check if already present in the self-learning module. So lahat po ng mga nilagay natin dito sa first row, kailangan nating i-connect kung sila ba ay na already present dun sa self-learning module natin. And then sa row 3, additional remarks. Can be done via voice call, can be facilitated by a household partner, can be done via a learning activity sheet, can be presented via an internet-based resources, or can be facilitated during a synchronous learning session. Next po. So, answer. So, now, after natin po gumawa noong learning task na yon, meron tayong mga guide questions here. Answer the following question in your study notebook. Number 1, for learning tasks not found in the self-learning module, you examine what materials or resources can you create to supplement the self-learning module. Halimbawa po, naglagay tayo ng mga objectives doon or topics natin sa first column na pag tingin natin sa self-learning module natin is wala naman doon sa self-learning module, mga activities and mga activities or supplementary work para sa estudyante, makakapagbigay ba, can we still give additional materials para yung topic na i-present natin bilang support dun sa objectives natin ay maiintindihan pa rin ng bata. So, marami pong materials or resources na pwede nating i-create para mas-supplement natin yung self-learning module na yan or mas-supplement natin yung mga topics natin na binigay natin sa bata. So like for example, meron tayong tinatawag po na textbook. Actually, ito naman yung pinaka-original nating resources before, yung mga textbook and learner materials or yung LMs. O kaya po ay yung mga teacher-made learning activity sheets. Yung mga ginagawa tayo doon, mga before na mga printed activity sheets ng mga bata like sheet work, mga ganun po activities. And other assessment materials. O pwede rin naman po yung mga internet-based resources. Mag-research tayo sa internet, may mga resources po doon. Sabi nga kanina namang Mylene Astorga is marami po sa DepEd Commons. And then, mga MELCs aligned teacher-made audio or video resources, computer-based or phone-based activities, and educational TV and or radio broadcasts. Then, question number 2, what kind of additional support can you give A, sa learners, and or letter B, sa household partners so that they are guided throughout the lesson? Ano po ba yung mga additional support na pwede natin ibigay sa mga learners or sa mga household partners na tumutulong sa mga learner natin na maintindihan yung lesson? Or after nating ibigay yung lesson, anong pwede natin ibigay na additional support for them para talaga maintindihan nila yung lesson? Pwede po tayong mag-ask ng feedback from them. Number 3, how can the teacher gather feedback? So yun naman po yung question. On the different learning tasks in order to refine or modify current and future lesson. So, paano tayo po magbibigay ng feedback? Sabi diyan, it can be done by sending individual evaluation through chat or phone call. Pwede natin po siyang tawagan. Kung online, kasi online distance learning, madali lang po dahil sa chat, sa group chat ng mga bata, agad-agad, pwede mo nang i-PM sila o naintindihan nyo ba yung lesson, saan kayo nahirapan, mga ganun po, no? Pag naman po module distance learning, siguro the only way is, may mga different ways din po. Pwede rin pong through text. I-text na lang natin sila. Anyway naman po, yung mga estudyante, siguro naman mga estudyante natin ay lahat yung mga yan ay may mga cellphone. So, pwedeng text. Ano pa po? Pwede rin naman daw pong written feedbacks and be sent on the next pick up of module. So, halimbawa may question yung magulang or yung bata, what's the lesson, hindi na masyado naintindihan. So, pag po nagbalik siya ng module, pwede pong isama niyo yung feedbacks na to through written. Then, let's go. Integrate to the next slide. Integrating content across learning areas or team teaching. So, integrating content across learning areas. Ito po ay ginagawa naman na natin kahit before po nung wala pa tayo sa new normal. Na every time nga po nagpapa-observe tayo sa ating mga heads or master teacher, actually sa ating Tora, nandyan nga siya, unang-una siya. Sa K.U.R.O 1, Objective 1, MOV 1, nakalagay dyan, applies knowledge of content within and across curriculum teaching areas. So, now that we are here in the new normal situation, kailangan pa rin po natin isama itong pag-i-integrate natin ng ating content across learning areas. Bakit po? Kasi this is a part of curriculum implementation. Yung mag-integrate tayo ng ating lesson. You can team up. Paano tayo mag-integrate ng ating lesson or across learning areas? You can team up to integrate lesson across learning areas. Integration of content across learning areas maximizes time and helps learners make connection for better understanding. Then, next bullet, you can use content topic as themes, motivation. So dito natin pwede ipasok yung ating pong pag-integrate ng ating content across learning areas through teams, pwedeng through motivation, springboards or initial topic for lesson across subjects. You can also try merging selected learning areas, performance tasks and assessments, and create separate rubrics for scoring per learning area. This can make it easier for you to check student work and save time for you and the learners. Now, can you think of other ways of designing and implementing lessons that can enhance student learning and maximize teacher preparation time? Don't forget to check back your coach and share them with your peers. So, then dito po tayo sa lesson 2, activity 5, assessment. So, kasama rin po ang assessment sa ating pag-i-implement ng ating curriculum ngayong nasa new normal po tayo. By the way po, ano po ba ibig sabihin ng assessment? Sa ating po uling mga lessons na nasa Google Classroom, makikita po natin yung DepEd Order number 8 and Series 2015 na it is still possible. This assessment is still possible even in this new normal. So, parang nagkaroon po ako, may narinig po ako before na parang diniscuss nila kung ang assessment ba, especially ang periodical test, yung summative assessment, ay ibibigay pa ba ngayon? Measurable pa ba? Applicable pa bang magbigay ng assessment since hindi naman natin nakikita ang mga estudyante natin? So, virtual lang natin silang virtual, kumbaga virtual lang yung ating pakikitungo sa kanila. Pero sabi po dito sa DepEd Order Series 8 Series of 2015, it is still possible even in this new normal situation. Bakit po? Because it is classroom assessment is an integral part of curriculum implementation. So, wait lang po. Sabi po dito, ang assessment is always a part of designing instruction. Now, nasa na ba yung ano kanina? Wait lang po ha. Sabi po dito, ang assessment po is very important because it allows the teacher to track and measure learners' progress and to adjust instruction accordingly. So classroom assessment informs the learner as well as their parents and guardians of their progress. So yun po ang kahalaga ng assessment. Nagbibigay tayo ng assessment para malaman natin kung may improvement ba yung mga bata dun sa kanilang pag-aaral. And para rin po makapag-adjust yung teacher dun sa instruction niya. Maaari siguro pag hindi naintindihan ng bata, pwede niyang ulitin ulit, di ba po? Pwede niyang ulitin yung kanyang lesson, magbigay siya ng mga remedial lesson. Kaya nga talaga kakaroon po ng remedial dahil para doon sa mga bata na kung hindi sila nakakahabol sa lesson, segregate natin, magbigay tayo ng remedial. Yun po ang ginagawa natin before. So ngayon po, pwede pa rin po natin siyang gawin. And then, para ma-inform din yung learner, especially yung mga parents, kung meron bang natututunan yung bata. Or kung ano yung progress ng bata regarding dun sa sitwasyon natin ngayon ng new normal situation natin sa education. Now, there are two types of assessment, yung formative and summative. So, titignan po natin dito, meron pong diagram dito na nakalagay. Ano ba ang pagkakaiba ng formative assessment? Ano pagkakaiba ng formative assessment sa summative assessment? Kung meron silang pagkakaiba, meron din ba silang similarities? So, sa ating pong module 3, lesson 2, activity 5, meron po dyan, sa ating pong Google Classroom, nandito po ito, i-discuss po dito kung ano yung pagkakaiba ng formative assessment and summative assessment. So, babasahin ko na lang po. Sabi po dito, ang formative assessment daw po, ang pagkakaiba is, ang formative assessment for learning to make adjustment in the lesson. It may be integrated in all parts of the lesson. Before the lesson, the lesson proper, and after the lesson. And then, result must be recorded to study. The results must be recorded to study the pattern of learning demonstrated by the students but should not be used as the basis for grading. Pag naman pong summative assessment, ang assessment of learning to measure if the student met the performance and content standards. Done after the lesson or at the end of the quarter. Hello po, nandiyan pa po ba kayo? Hindi ko po kasi nakikita yung screen ko.
Yes, of course, ma'am.
Oh, thank you po.
Yes, andito pa po kami, ma'am.
Opo, thank you po. Then, ano pa pong pagkakaiba ng summative sa formative? Results enable teachers to describe how well the students learn the standard or competencies for a given quarter, which are then reflected in the class record. Then, ano pong similarities nila? Learners may be assessed individually or collaboratively. Should promote self-reflection and personal accountability among students about their own learning. Another similarities is maybe a written work or a performance task. Now, magbigay po tayo ng mga example ng formative assessment. Sabi po, ang formative assessment, pwede siyang ibigay for the lesson proper, and after the lesson. So, ang naiisip ko po dito, may example is yung recitation. Di ba po? Pwede din pong in the form of sheet work or kaya board work, group activity, or quizzes. At pag summative assessment naman po, dito na pumapasok yung ating periodical test or quarterly test. So, ayan po, kung gusto po natin mas maintindihan ito, meron pong answer key sa Module 3, Lesson 2, Activity 5. Meron pong answer key diyan. Then, activity 6. There are various methods of assessments. Read Table 2 of the DepEd Order 8 series of 2015 on policy guidelines on classroom assessment to see examples such as games, quizzes, and interviews. So dito po makikita, ang dami po palang pwede natin ibigay na assessment sa bata, especially sa formative assessment. So before the lesson po, pwede tayo dyan maglagay ng mga games or agree or disagree activities, interviews, inventory sa science po siguro ito, or yung KWL activities, what I know, what I want to know, what I learned, and then the open-ended question, and then the practice exercises. Sa lesson proper naman po, yung assessment natin can be multimedia presentation, observations, or other formative performance, quizzes, recitation, simulation activities. And after the lesson, pwede po tayo magbigay ng assessment through checklist, discussion, games, performance tasks, and practice. Which assessment method can you adapt in distance learning considering the content area that you are teaching? In your study notebook, recreate the following table and list 5 methods that you would like to try for each one. Write how you plan to use it in distance learning. So halimbawa po eto na. Assessment method na ginamit natin is the short quiz. How to adapt the assessment method in distance learning? Sabi po dito, I will send a 3-item quiz via text message before the lesson. Based on the responses, I will take note of the common misconceptions and clarify them to the learners during our online session or via text message. Now, bukod po sa short quiz, ano daw po ang ating pwede pang ibigay? And yung method natin. So, once na nasagutan na natin daw po yun, na-kompleto natin yung 5 na yun, be ready to share your output when you meet with your LAC group after completing this module. Try to answer these questions with your colleagues. Number 1, what assessment method are common among the group members? So, after kung makagawa ng table na yun, yung limang yun, mag-usap-usap po, tulad nito, nagalak po tayo, pwede po natin pag-usapan. Ano daw po yung mga common methods among the group members? What are the challenges in doing assessment in distance learning? Despite the challenges, what opportunities can you and your colleagues explore to make assessment able on distance learning? Next, lesson 2, activity 7. The use of portfolio naman po tayo. Aside from formative and summative assessment, isa po sa mga activity na pwede natin ibigay sa bata sa learning task nila is the use of portfolio. So, ano po ba ang portfolio? Sabi dito, a portfolio can be a sample of projects, students' independent work, homework, group work, presentations, essay, critiques, journal log, collection of media resources, student resume, extracurricular activities, certificates, and awards. So, yun po yung nakapaloob pala sa portfolio. At ang tanong po, meron ba tayong rule na kailangan i-implement sa paggawa ng portfolio ng bata? Sabi po, it depends upon the requirements of the learning area. Depende doon sa learning area na tinuro mo on that quarter. And depende rin po sa teacher, administrators, and students, even the parents, pwede natin isama, may decide collectively on what to include in the portfolio. Pero definitely, pag nagpapagawa naman tayo ng portfolio sa mga bata, usually tayo naman teacher ang nag-decide. Pero pag nag-decide tayo, siyempre, tinitignan din natin yung kakayanan, kung ano yung mga in-accomplish ng bata for the whole quarter and kung anong kaya nilang i-attach do sa kanilang portfolio. Usually, ito ay related po sa lesson natin for that quarter. Then, it may also include evidences or testimonies of student learning progress from teachers, learning facilitators, or parents, which can be in the form of emails, interviews, conversation, teacher notes to parents, teachers' comments on student work. So, tatandaan po natin, noong pong wala pa tayo sa ganitong situation natin, new normal, pag nagpapagawa tayo ng portfolio natin sa mga estudyante natin, usually kung ano lang po yung mga output ng bata, mga quizzes nila, yung activity nila, picture nila sa kanilang project, diba po, especially sa aming MAPE, gumagawa sila ng mga projects ng sa mga arts, for example po, kaya sa health, kung ano, mag-represent sila ng output nila sa health. Like for example, mag-represent ng pagkain, na how can you make it a balanced meal? So, mag-represent sila. Pinipicture nila, yung ina-attach nila sa portfolio. Pero ngayon po, na i-portfolio na tayo, may mga nadagdag bukod po doon sa mga yon. Nandoon na pwede isama yung mga teacher's note to parents or yung mga conversation na ginawa between parents and the teachers. Yan po. And yung mga testimonies of students' learning progress. Since na hindi nga natin po sila na monitor personally ng harapan, so yung mga testimonies nila or evidences nila about their learning progress na ginagawa nila sa bahay, pwede po nilang i-attach. So from there, makikita natin na, okay, pwede rin silang mag-picture, maaari po mag-picture sila na ginagawa nila yung module na to, tapos i-attach nila doon. From there, makita natin na, ito pala yung ginagawa ng bata at ito yung kanyang learning progress. After reading the references, answer the following quiz to check your understanding about using a portfolio. So, meron po tayong checklist dito. Ito po yung nasa ating Google Classroom. Then, meron din pong answer key dyan. I-try po natin sagutan. Sabi po dyan, a portfolio mainly displays the academic achievement of the learners. True or false po ba? Ang portfolio po ba, especially yung e-portfolio natin ngayon, ay it mainly displays the academic achievements of the learners. So, according to our answer key, false daw po. Hindi lang daw po yung academic achievements nila. Tulad nga ng sinabi ko po kanina, hindi lang yung related sa academic achievements, kundi pati yung mga feedbacks ng parents, pwede pong isama dyan. Yung conversation between teachers and parents dun sa progress ng bata, pwede din pong isama dyan. Hindi lang siya yung talagang literally na academic achievements ng bata. Number 2, testimonies of parents, guardians, and learning facilitators regarding the learner's progress may be included in a portfolio. Siyempre, sinabi ko na po yan kanina, so ang answer is true. Number 3, there is a fixed list of items that should be included in a portfolio. So, ang answer po is false. Wala po siyang fixed na list of items. Kasi po, ang mga ang i-portfolio nga po na ito ay pwedeng pagkasunduan ng parent, ng students, and ng teacher. Number 4, the teacher can only comment on a learner's portfolio. Ang teacher lang po ba ang pwede mag-comment? Hindi rin po, false din po ang sagot kasi pwede nga rin po magbigay ng feedback ang parents regarding dun sa portfolio. Number 5, for asynchronous learning, teachers allow learners to work on their output during their own time. The latter will submit the portfolio within the schedule that the teacher set. So, answer po is true. Number 6, the learners may submit, store, and manage their portfolio via file sharing programs, or they may submit the actual soft copies of their work saved on CD, DVD, USB, or flash drive. Ano po kaya ang sagot dito? Sino po makakasagot? True or false po ba ito? The learners may submit.
Pwedeng false, depende.
Opo. Pero po, thank you po ma'am. Ang answer po dito is true. Opo.
True.
Number 7, opo, true po siya ma'am. Number 7 po, portfolios of distance learners with outputs in hard copies or physical forms may be handed over to the teacher by the parents or learning facilitators. Ano pong answer?
False.
True po.
False.
True po, opo. Kasi nga po, di ba po, ipapasa po nila yung portfolio na yan at hindi naman po, hindi mo po pwede yung bata ang magpasa. Kaya sabi po dyan, may be handed over to the teacher by the parents or the learning facilitators. Kasi halimbawa, pinasa na nila kasabay po ng module. So, ayan po, yung parents po ang magsasubmit. At pag na-submit na po ng parents, siguro pag sa school, yung pong mga facilitator natin, mga teaching facilitator natin na tumatanggap po ng mga modules and yung mga printed outputs na to, ay sila po yung magbibigay po sa ating mga teachers na. Then, check out the check out the lesson 2, activity 7, answer key. So, yun na po yung answer key yung sinabi ko na nga po. Learners are different and have different abilities. For some topics, you can give students some options or alternatives on how they will be assessed. Just make sure that this would show how much they have learned. So, yun po yung sabi po doon about sa portfolio and different assessment po na diniscuss natin. So, yun lang po and salamat po.
Thank you so much, Miss Excelda Agait. For that wonderful presentation of handouts or the self-learning modules and other things included. You guided us also in the activity, the output that we're going to do. Nga po pala, for the reminders po, the due dates of the submission of outputs would be tomorrow. So, meron din po tayong LAC session tomorrow, pero asynchronous na lang po. Via Google Classroom na lang po. Sasagutan nyo po yung mga outputs nyo po. That's due tomorrow po. Thank you po. And since masyado matagal na rin po tayo nakaupo, so Ma'am Gianan suggested that we have our 10 minutes break before Ma'am Nancy Corda, the next speaker, will go on. Is it okay? Okay, everyone, let me read to you the memo po of LDM2 Notice of Meeting. The conduct of the implementation of Learning Delivery Modality, or LDM, Course 2 for Teachers. LAC Team 16, Co-LAC Leader, Co-Teammates. So this is the memo. There shall be a meeting on September 21 to 22, 2020, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the implementation. Tama po ba yung ano ko mo, ma'am? Of LDM2 for Teachers.
Yes po, opo.
All attendees, kasi hindi ko mabasa yung naka-present. So, ito na. All attendees are advised to use Google Meet as online platform The link shall be sent few hours before the training by Mrs. Abdullah Magda Diga, Secretariat. Attendance.
Miss lang po.
Po?
Miss lang po.
Ay, miss po. Ay, sorry. Miss, excuse me po, correction po. Miss pa po. Miss Abdullah Magda Diga. Attendance is strictly enjoined. Signed by Andrea.
Mama, that means mag-ano ka na, mag-asawa ka na.
Yes po.
Noted, ma'am.
LAC leader or team leader, si Ma'am Andrea Grace F. Yanan, noted by Esmalia P. Cabalang. Okay, our principal 3. So, yung outputs po, ma'am, can you make it bigger po? Hindi ko po, ma'am. Ano pa? Ayan. Wala na po ilalaki yan, Miss Am. Should I, ano po, read the meeting procedures? Ayan po, the meeting procedures po natin. Registration, 7:45. Prayer by Mrs. Corazon Cabe. Attendance check by Mrs. Cynthia Adriano. Words of welcome by Dr. Esmalia P. Cabalang, Mr. Fredelito Cabalang. And our seminar proper will be for September 21, 2020, 8 to 11:30. Module number 2, Most Essential Learning Competencies, done by Mrs. Lailani Tamonan. 3A Lesson Design and Assessment in the Modalities by Miss Mylene Estorga, Miss Emily Estanislao, Mrs. Nancy Corda, Mrs. Excelda Agaid. And for 3B, Learning Resources by Mrs. Leia Salvador. And at 1 to 5 p.m., that's module number 4, Planning for Continuing Professional Development and LAC Planning by Mrs. Andrea Grace F. Yana. For module 5, Building the Teaching Portfolio related to the implementation of the modality by Mr. Edwin Cruz. For September 22, 2020, 8 to 11, that would be the submission of outputs to Mrs. Andrea Grace Yanan and LAC members via, this will be submitted by the LAC members via Google Classroom. And at 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., this will be the assessment and the evaluation of outputs, celebration of success. So, of course, by our LAC leader and LAC members, and the celebration of success will be with Ma'am Cabalang, Dr. Esmalia P. Cabalang and Mr. Fredelito B. Cabalang via Google Meet for our celebration of success. And then the synthesis will be delivered by, done by Miss Emily Estanislao, and we'll be closing the program for our prayer of thanks by Mrs. Mary Christine de Guzman. This has been your lady of, this is your, ito po ang inyong lingkod, lady din of the program. Po. So, program management team po, LAC Team 16. Our LAC Team 16, role po, overall team lead coach, person in charge po ay si Dr. Esmalia P. Cabalang. The responsibilities, oversees the implementation of the LDM Course 2. Overall co-team lead coach, Mr. Fredelito B. Cabalang. Assists in the implementation of the LDM Course 2. LAC Team Leader, Team 16, Mrs. Andrea Grace F. Yanan, leads the implementations of the LDM Course 2 of Team 16, or Family 16. LAC Co-Team Leader, Miss Emily Estanislao, assists in the implementation of the LDM Course 2 of Team 16. Technology and Platform, Miss Abdullah Magda Diga, prepares Google platform for the conduct of LAC session, assists attendees in their connection and submission of required outputs, records the synchronous sessions which will be submitted to the Secretariat. And we have the documenter, Mrs. Angeli Aguirre. Documents the process of the LAC sessions, submits narrative, synthesis, and related documentation. And our secretariat, again, Ms. Abdullah Magdabiga, collates the synthesized documents and is safe keep the documents of the meeting for reference. Yun lang po yung ano pa. Are there some more, Ma'am Am?
Mamaya na lang po i-present po yung expected output po. Actually po, nasa Google Classroom naman po nakapost. Pero after po ng session, i-present po ulit.
Okay, thank you so much po.
Hello. Kasi tinanong ko kanina si Am.
Yes?
Pa-check na, hindi na daw kasi ako yung synthesis. Tama ba?
Hindi
si
na.
Angie na daw, si Angie.
Si Angeli, okay. Ayun pala yung tinext sa akin. So, correction po, the synthesis will be Ma'am Angeli Aguirre. Correction po for that matter po. Noted
po, ma'am. Opo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will be proceeding na po. But before that, let me read po yung ating nasa chat box. Meron po ba dapat, yan po. Puro mga thank you. Yan. May request po si Ma'am Lani. Ma'am Lani, pero pwede po after na lang po ni Ma'am Nancy na lang po. Okay? Sige po. For our next speaker. Yan po. Maririnig na po natin ang kanyang very, yung voice na that can launch 1,000 ships. Ayan po, si Ma'am Nancy O. Corda. Sandali lang po, present ko lang po yung aking slide. Wait lang po Present now. So, let us welcome po Mrs. Nancy O. Corda, Filipino teacher po, will give again the remaining parts of the lesson designs. So, take it away, Mrs. Nancy O. Corda. Naku, kinakabahan.
Correction ulit. Nasa TLE na po si Nancy O. Corda.
Filipino teacher po.
Opo.
Nasa TLE na po si Nancy. Wala na po sa
Nasa TLE na po ba? Sorry po.
Yes po.
Hindi po natanong. Sorry po, correction po ulit.
Ganun po talaga pag first time.
Yes, ma'am. Stop sharing ko na po. Sige po, take it away. Mrs. Nancy.
Okay. Ayan, thank you po sa napaka-energetic nating MC. Salamat po sa magandang introduction. Okay, so parang nag-e-echo. Sa akin po ba yon?
Sa'yo po, ma'am.
Kasi dalawa yung naka-open. Wait lang. Sige, i-off ko na lang ito. Wait lang po. Okay. Naririnig?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, hindi na po.
Nakamute ka, Nancy.
Okay, so ayan. So correction po ulit, ako po ay nasa TLE department na. So wala na po ako sa Filipino department. So my lesson is about Module 3, Lesson 3, Part 4. So designing instruction in the different learning delivery modalities. So Lesson 3 is guiding and monitoring learners in the different learning modalities. Okay, so ang slide na to ay courtesy of Ma'am Leia Cayetano. Ayan, next slide please. Ayan, so at the end of this lesson, we will be able to differentiate the weekly home learning plan from individual learning monitoring plan. So makalaman natin yung difference ng bawat isa. The second one is we will be able to create weekly home learning plan. Third is we'll be able to create individual learning monitoring plan. So ayan po yung ina-expect sa atin after this discussion. Okay, next please. Ayan, so ito po yung ating mga key topics or concepts. So individual monitoring, learning monitoring plan, insignificant progress, intervention strategies, learning area, learning tasks, learners' needs, learner status, mastery, of course, the MELCs, mode of delivery, significant progress, and weekly home learning plan. Okay, next po. Ayan, these are the resources required. So, Appendix D of the DepEd Memorandum. So, yung Appendix D na po ito, it's about WHLP and ILMP. Ayan, nakalagay naman po dyan. So, makikita natin merong ipapakita pong sample template ng ILMP or Individual Monitoring Plan. So, ayan po, may mga sample WHLP. So, alam ko gumagawa na po ang karamihan nito. So, familiar na po tayo dito sa Weekly Home Learning Plan. And then, the rest is the activity. And the last one is study notebook. Next, please. Ayan. So, bago po tayo mag-start ng ating discussion, so, alam ko buhay na kayo kanina pa dahil nakapag-break na tayo kanina. So, let us try to answer this activity. So, it's a matching type activity. So, 4 lang naman po siya. So, we're going to match the description from all descriptions in column A with the terms in column B. So, sino po ang gustong mag-volunteer? Ayan, sumagot. Ayan, magbasa at sumagot. Para naman mabuhay tayo, so medyo may participation, audience participation tayo. So, any volunteer? Or gusto niyo po ba ako ay magtatawag ng mga nakikita ko dito sa screen? Ayan, so bibigyan ko po kayo ng mga ilang minuto para, o segundo para tingnan at pag-aralan yung mga nakalagay dyan. Okay lang po ba magtawag ako or may mag-volunteer? So, pipili lang naman po kayo ng isa. Gusto niyong sagutin dyan. Is it okay? Ayan. So, meron po tayo, andyan po yung mga sagot natin, learning area, mode of delivery, learning competencies, and learning tasks. Pwede po ba akong magtawag na lang ng pangalan? Okay, let us have...
Hello, ako, Nancy, sasagot ako.
Ayan, thank you po, Ate Ems. Salamat
Number 1, letter C. Tama ba?
Pakibasa po muna natin yung meaning. Yung ano po, yung ano. Term.
Number 1, letter C, learning competencies.
Number 1, letter C, learning competencies. These are the knowledge, understanding, skills, attitudes. Okay? So, mamaya po natin check kung tama po ang ating mga sagot. Next po, kahit ano pong number dyan yung gusto nyong sagutan. Pinili lang po kayo. Meron pa pong gusto mag-volunteer? O magtatawag ako. Let's have Ma'am Christine de Guzman.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yes, wag na.
Pipili
ako ng pinakamadali.
Okay, sure.
Hindi, sige yung number 2 na lang. Pero
okay.
So for number 2,
pwede po pakibasa po natin yung ating, yung meaning po muna.
Okay. So yung number 2, these are the formative learning opportunities given to learners to engage them in the subject matter and to enhance their understanding of the content. So yung aking intelligent guess, is letter D, which is learning task. Ayan. Thank you.
Okay, sige po. Thank you. Learning. Salamat po. Okay, 2 na lang po. Sino po?
Nancy, po.
Yes, Miss Am. Thank you, Miss Am.
Number 3, this refers to the prescribed subject that learners take. Letter A, learning area.
Okay, sige po. Marami pong salamat, Miss Am. And the last one po. Sino po?
Sige, number 4. This refers to the method of submission learning outputs prepared by the learners parent based on the context,
Is it letter D? Mode of delivery?
Thank you, Ms. Cabe. Salamat po. So, thank you po sa nag-participate. So, mamaya po malalaman po natin kung tama po yung mga sinagot po. Okay? So, maraming salamat po sa participation. Okay, kayo po yung mag-ano kung tama yung sinagot nyo mamaya. Okay, next slide please. Ayan. So, by the way, yung po yung mga sinagot natin, ano, yung learning task, learning competencies, learning area, and mode of delivery. So, by the way, these 4 po, ito po yung mga essential components ng WHLP, Weekly Home Learning Plan. So, alam ko, familiar na po kayo dito, gumagawa na po kayo nito. Diba? So, except po sa amin sa TLE, hindi po kami masyado makagawa kasi wala pa po talaga kaming module. No? So, what is WHLP po? Ano nga ba yung Weekly Home Learning Plan? Okay. So, anong purpose? Bakit po tayo gumagawa ng Weekly Home Learning Plan? So, bakit pinagagawa lang ba tayo? Kailangan lang ba pagpanagdag sa trabaho? So, Weekly Home Learning Plan is a tool to guide learners and learning facilitator. So, ito yung guide ng learner and learning facilitator in tracking the subjects na kailangan nilang i-tackle for a certain period of time, no? Dun sa time schedule. No, and yung mga activities na dapat nilang i-perform. No? So, yung mga kailangan nilang gawin. So, ayan po. So, ito yung magsisilbing kanilang guide. So, as you can see in the example, so meron tayong 5 columns na makikita dito. Nasa taas, week 1, quarter 1. Ayan yung date na nakalagay from September 7 to 11. So, it is 1 week activity given prepared by teachers given to the learning facilitators ng mga bata sa bahay. It could be their parents o kung sino yung mag-guide sa kanila sa pag-facilitate ng learning. Kasi ito po ay especially in the MDL, so modular distance learning. Ayan, date and time, learning area. So learning area, ito po yung subject na kung ano ituturo natin. As you can see, andyan, aralin panlipunan, edukasyong pagkakatao, Filipino, and all. So, kung ano yung subject na tinuturo natin. And then, learning competencies. Ano itong mga learning competencies na to? So, ito yung nag-enhance. So, enhance the understanding of the content. No? Yung competencies na dapat matutunan ng bata. No? For that day, or for that specific time, yun yung dapat nilang matutunan. And the learning tasks, so these are the understanding, kung paano natutunan yung understanding, knowledge skills, no? That the learners need to demonstrate. So ito na po yung mga activity na binibigay natin dun sa bata. No? And then the mode of delivery, so paano isasubmit ng bata. So ito lang po yung mga basic part ng Weekly Home Learning Plan. So, ayan, mode of delivery, nakalagay po dyan. Ayan, personal submission by the parents to the teacher in school. So, kung mapapansin natin sa learning task, dito sa binigay na example, nakalagay lang dyan, module 1, lesson 2, quarter 1, week 1. Pero sa actual po, mamaya makikita po natin, ilalagay po talaga natin kung ano yung gagawin ng bata. Katulong yung parents. So, magiging guide ng parents paano nila i-assist yung bata. So, kasi dito, hindi siya masyadong malinaw. So, mamaya makikita po natin sa example natin. So, ayan po. Next slide po, please. Ayan. So, continuation po ito nung isang slide. Kung mapapansin natin, hanggang Thursday lang po siya. No? Thursday lang po kasi pagdating ng Friday, ito na po yung submission na po yan. So, bago i-submit, so, check muna kung may task ba na hindi nagawa or mga kulang na dapat sagutan. And then, so meron pa rin specific schedule for the parents to return the modules sa mga modules sa mga kiosk or sa school. So parents po ang magdadala and the rest is family time. So kung mapapansin po natin, magaan ang schedule ng pag-Friday ng mga bata. So they have their time to relax. Okay? Next slide, please. So, ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina na naka-detailed detalyado yung tasks. At makikita rin din po natin yung pagkakaiba ng weekly home learning plan kapag ODL and MDL. Actually, wala masyadong pagkakaiba maliban lamang dun sa kung paano nila isasabit o saan sasagutan. Siyempre, for the MDL, magsasagot sila sa Word file and isasabit nila sa Google Classroom dahil online sila. Pagdating naman sa modular, ayun, so depende sa gusto ng teacher, bond paper ba or sa kung saan gagawin, bond paper dun sa isasagot dito. Sandali po, ma'am. Balik po ulit tayo doon. Ako sa bond paper ba or nakalagay dito naman na example, sagutang papel. Ayan. So, and then, ang mode of delivery is sa mga submissions sa mga designated kiosk. Okay po? Next slide, please. Ayan. So, ito siguro hindi na natin gagawin. Ayan yung paggawa lang naman to ng mamaya. Weekly Home Learning ILMP. So, skip na po natin yan. Ayan. So, ito po. Dun po muna tayo, ma'am, sa table ng, ng ILMP. Ayan. Okay. So, may tanong po tayo dun sa weekly home learning plan. Malinaw po ba yun, yung weekly home learning plan? Alam nyo na po yan. No, tandaan lang po natin yung 4 essential components. No? The learning task, learning competencies, learning area, and mode of delivery. And yung pang-flip po doon ay yung schedule. No? Now, we go now to individual learning monitoring template. No? Or individual learning monitoring plan. Ano ba itong individual learning monitoring plan na ito? Bakit kailangan natin gumawa ng individual learning monitoring plan? So, pampadagdag ba sa trabaho? So, this individual learning monitoring plan is a tool for monitoring learners who lag behind based from the result of their assessment and formative and summative assessment. So ito ay binibigay po sa mga learners na hindi nakamit doon sa learning competencies na kailangan ng bata. So hindi po lahat ng bata ay bibigyan o bibigyan ng gagawa ng learning monitoring plan. So yung mga bata lang po na nakikita natin na hindi sila nakakasabay. So kailangan po kasi mga learners natin ay sabay-sabay pong matuto. So kung hindi, bibigyan po natin sila ng individual learning monitoring plan. So ano ba yung kagandahan ng merong learning monitoring plan na to? Bakit kailangan gawin? So ayan. So unang-una yan, meron tayong feedback from the learners. No? So, ito ginagawa sa mga feedback sa learners. Kung yung binibigay ba nating activity ay nagagawa nila, no? Learners na nag-undergo ng intervention. Yung ginawa natin ng intervention feedback. Ayan. And then, so this is also the mechanism to support the learners. Siyempre dito kung makikita nyo, at yung dyan, intervention strategy, to support the learners po sa kanilang mga lag, yung mga lessons or mga kailang competencies na hindi nila nakukuha. Ayan. So, syempre, so it makes the parents and the guardian aware of the academic progress of their children. No? So, they're aware of the academic progress of their children and to encourage them to strengthen the involvement in supervising their children. So, syempre, ito ay, yung individual learning monitoring plan is a tool ng teacher at ng parents. So, supervise nila yung kanilang anak. So, pag nakita ng parents, ay mahina pala yung anak ko sa ganitong ano. So, nandun yung involvement, kailangan ng involvement ng parents. So, ayun po. So, kung makikita natin, meron tayong mga parts dito ng individual learning monitoring plan. So, learner's name, grade level, learning area. So, learning area, kung ano pong subject. Ayan, nakikita natin kung ano pong subject nyo. O, math, English, ang lalagay nyo dyan. So, learner's needs. Dito pa sa column ng learner's needs, ano yung kailangan ng batang matutunan? Saan siya mahihirapan? So, dapat i-identify yan ng teacher. So, yung difficulties niya. And then, next is the intervention. Ito yung mga strategy na pinoprovide natin para makakope yung bata sa difficulties niya. And then, nakalagay po, monitoring date. And then, sa learner status, divided into 4 columns. So, andyan, insignificant progress, and mastery. Dun sa insignificant progress, titingnan po natin, sabi dito, is not making significant progress in the timely manner. So intervention and strategy should be revised. Kung nakita natin yung binigay nating strategy, hindi pa rin nakukuha ng bata. So ibig sabihin, insignificant yun. So yung binigay mong intervention strategy, iibahin mo ngayon. Kasi let us always remember that meron tayong iba-iba po yung ating mga learners, no? Iba-iba yung kanilang needs and interest. So hindi pwedeng binigay mong strategy sa isa ay applicable din sa isa. So we have to be very observant dun sa mga needs and mga ng bata, no? And then significant progress, kung nakikita natin na nagde-develop, ayun po, so yung nagde-develop or nag-improve yung bata. So that's the time lalagay natin na sabi natin, ituloy natin yung strategy ng intervention na ginagawa nito niyon kasi effective yon para sa bata. Yung strategy na yun, pwede natin ituloy. And then, ayan, the last, kapag effective sa kanya, ayan, darating na siya dun sa mastery level. So, na-master niya na yung competency na dapat i-master. Okay? So, yun po. Okay, so, any question po? Maiksi lang po itong lesson topic ko. Ayan, so any question po? Meron po ba? Okay? So,
okay na po.
Okay na po. Okay, balik po tayo dun sa isang activity, ma'am. Dun sa may isa pa po. Sa taas pa po. Isa pa po. Isa pa po, ma'am. Sige po. Sa taas po. Sa taas mo, ma'am. Ayan. Yung sa taas po. Ayan, sa taas po niya. Ayan. So, eto po. So, sasagutan po natin. Naintindihan po ba natin? So, alam ko, naintindihan nyo ito kasi gumagawa na po kayo nito, no? So, eto yung activity. So, i-compare natin ngayon yung difference ng weekly home learning plan and individual learning monitoring plan. So, what is the purpose of weekly home learning plan? Ano nga ba ang purpose niya? No? So, anong purpose ng weekly home learning plan? So, ano nga bang purpose nito? Ha? So, this is a tool. Ayan. It is to guide the learner and learning facilitator. Iga-guide ang learner and learning facilitator sa mga task na dapat gawin. Okay? For the week. What about individual learning plan? So, this is a tool to monitor kung na-achieve ng bata yung mga learning competencies na dapat ma-achieve. No? Is a tool, yon, ma-achieve yung learning competencies. Tinitingnan, ito yung mga binibigay sa mga batang hindi naka-achieve ng mga learning competencies na dapat nilang makuha. So, a tool, no, to monitor the learner's progress. So, again, ang binibigyan lang po nito ay yung mga may lag o hindi naka-cope up dun sa competencies na dapat matutunan. Okay, para kanino ang weekly home learning plan? So, ang weekly home learning plan po ay ibinibigay sa student and learning facilitator. Okay, what about the individual learning monitoring plan? Ito naman po ay sa teacher and learning facilitator. So, yung isa sa students and learning facilitator, ito naman ay sa teacher and learning facilitator. So, have to be communicated with parents, of course. So, importante na, yan, very important yung communication. So, kasi katuwang natin yung parents sa pag-guide ng learning, especially now na medyo mahirap talaga ang distance learning. Okay? So, any question po? Ayan. So, doon na po tayo sa bandang dulong slide ng Saki. Maiksi lang po itong topic ko. Saki, ano na po, hindi. Ayan na po yung sagot kanina. Ayan, key messages. Ito yung mga key messages natin. Next slide, please. Sabi po dito, there are no perfect lessons, but with perfect planning, reflection, and continuous adaptation before, during, and after the lesson delivery, you will be able to design lessons with your best efforts and maximize learning new content. O sabi nga, walang perfect na lesson. Hindi naman natin ang perfect na lesson pero sa bata. No? So, kailangan daw nating i-plan. So, binanggit dito before, during, and after. So, itong before, ito yung bago na, ito yung mga lesson na prepare natin bago natin ibigay sa bata. Diba? Pinaplano natin yan, of course. During, ito yung time na ina-execute na natin or binibigyan na natin yung lesson. No? Habang nagla-lesson tayo minsan kasi, doon natin nakikita kung effective ba yung mga strategies na binibigay natin. No? And that's the time na, sabi doon, after, ay yung reflection natin. So, nagre-reflect tayo, okay ba yung strategy ko? Marami bang nakakuha? No? Or, mag-iiba ko ng strategy. So, yun sasabing before, during, and after the lesson. So, it's important na i-plan daw natin. So, it's a process. No? Hindi naman po, etong maganda, effective na agad. So, ayun nga, before, during, and after. Tsaka lang natin malalaman kung nakuha ng bata, na-meet ng bata yung competencies na dapat niyang makuha. So, nagkaroon ng mastery of learning. Okay, next po, please. Ayan. So, it is important for the teacher to keep track of how the students are doing, get feedback from the learners, self-assessment, and from the learning facilitator or household partners in order to continuously improve lessons and provide support. So, ito na nga yung pumpasok na yung ILMP, Individual Monitoring Plan. And of course, syempre, ayan, it's important na may communication tayo, hindi lang sa parents, ganun din sa bata. Kumustahin natin sila para ma-feel nila, ay, si ma'am, ayun, ito yung advisor ko. Kahit hindi man nakikita ng face-to-face, so, virtually, ayan, maramdaman yung presence natin. Okay, next. Next po, please. Ayan. So, one way of getting feedback from learners is by communicating regularly with them and their family. You need to make your presence felt and send messages to the learner that they are not alone in this situation. This will be greatly help to stay motivated. Ayun, kagaya ng sinabi ko. So, kumustahin natin, no? Kagaya din natin, di ba, minsan, meron tayong mga fears, meron tayong feeling natin, tayo lang nakakaramdam ng mga ganong pakiramdam. Pero, ayun nga, so, stay connected. So, yun yung nagpapalakas sa atin at mafe-feel na ito pala yung may concern, hindi lang ako nag-iisa sa ganitong sitwasyon. Okay, next po, please. Ayan, as teacher, you are part of a larger community of learners and would need support from your coaches, school heads, and fellow teachers as you adopt the new normal. So, napakaswerte po natin, napaka-supportive ng ating principal, no? So, we are lucky to have Ma'am Kabalang kasi talagang sinusupport niya tayo, especially sa technical aspects, no? Kasi parang this time, 360 degree, biglang umikot yung mundo natin, no? Na, ay, nandun tayo sa anong gagawin? So, andun yung fear sa atin. It's important na may mga, ayan, coaches, ayan, si Ma'am Gianan, and especially yung mga creative media group, ayan, si Miss nako, napaka-thankful ko sa kanya kasi very supportive talaga siya at very accommodating at napakabait. So, of course, we need one another, no, to adapt this new normal. So, kailangan natin ng isa't isa magsuportahan, magtanungan, no? Kung may alam yung isa, pwede mag-sharing na kung anong natutunan. Kasi kami, dun sa mga close friends ko, ganun kami, ano yan, turuan mo ko yan. So, kailangan natin ng isa't isa para maitawid natin ng maayos itong bagong hamon sa pagtuturo sa atin. Okay, next slide please. Meron pa po, ayan. So, sabi dito, let love be our motivation. Do everything in love. So, sabi nga, di ba, parang pwede natin i-compare yan sa isang babae at lalaking in love. No? Kapag in love yung isang lalaki, di ba lahat sabi hahamakin ng lahat. No, gagawin niya, hindi na nakikita yung nagabal, yung hirap. As teachers, pwede din tayong ganun. Dahil mahal natin yung mga bata, mahal natin yung trabaho natin. Kahit nakikita natin maraming sagabal, maraming hirap, pero dahil motivation natin ay pagmamahal, so hindi natin masyadong alintana yun. So, susuungin natin yung challenge na malaking challenge sa atin as teachers sa ngayon. Ayan, dahil motivated tayo with love. Next po, please. Ayan, so sa verse 7 ng 1 Corinthians, so, love always protects, trust, hopes, and persevere. Love never fails. So, maging pursigido tayo. Ayan, magkaroon tayo ng hope na maitawid natin ng maayos itong ating panibagong hamon sa pagtuturo at maging masigas para sa kapakanan ng ating mga mag-aaral. Kasi we have a big part sa learning ng mga bata. Malaki yung ginagampan nating role sa pagkatuto ng mga bata. Next po, meron pa po ba? Ayan. So, ayun lang po. Happy teaching mga ka-Heneral. Marami pong salamat. Sana po ay meron kayong natutunan. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Nancy Corda. You leave me, teary-eyed sa mga sinabi mo, ma'am. Because you didn't just guide us for our individual monitoring and sample weekly home learning plan and individual learning monitoring plan, kundi you've made us stay motivated na maging connected. Thank you so much po, Ma'am Nancy.
Salamat po.
So, gaya po ng meron pong mga saying po na we should make hay while the sun shines. Tama po ba? Agree?
Yes.
And nothing ventured, nothing gained. But remember din po, magpapahinga din po tayo because rin po, priority din po yung health and welfare ng teachers din po. But don't bite off more than you chew, ika nga. Thank you po, Mama Nancy. So, mayroon pong babasahin po dito na sa chat box po. Sabi po kanina ni Sir Edwin Cruz, congrats po sa ating magagaling na facilitators. Actually po, sila po yung mga future, ayan, sila po para sa akin po, sila po ay pwedeng future regional speakers. Ayan po. At sabi po ni Ma'am Lani, congrats Ma'am Nancy, good job. Ni Ma'am Andrea, Grace Ganan, amen, do everything in love. Thanks much, Ma'am Nancy. Abdullah Magda says, congratulations, Ma'am Nancy. Ayan, and so on. Thank you all speakers for sharing. You are so great. Pero meron pa po tayo, Mama. Meron pa pong last one for this morning po. Pero before that, Ma'am Grace, okay lang po yung suggestion ni Ma'am ni Ma'am Lani po, to sing a song daw. Meron po siya atang i-prepare na slides for...
Hello, ma'am. Sino po yung next speaker po?
Si Ma'am Leia Salvador po.
Si Ma'am Leia. Ma'am Leia, do you think kakayanin po ba ng hanggang alas 12 yung talk niyo po?
Grace, actually, 5 minutes lang ako. Tapos na.
Okay. Pabilis talaga, Ma'am Leia. Okay, sige. Bigyan natin si
request.
Pag pumarap ka, tapos na.
So, ganun po talaga ganun po talaga mga...
Pagbigyan natin, make it more lighter. Pagbigyan natin yung request ni Ma'am
Ayan po, kasi nga po, chill lang po tayo.
Sige, 5 minutes lang daw, 11:30 tapos tayo. Okay,
thank you so much po, Ma'am Gianan, for answering that.
Pagbigyan po natin si Ma'am Lani for us to feel lighted.
As you all know po, ang mga ka-Heneral po ay mga talented people po, energetic, and we miss each other. So, Ma'am Lani, come on and take it away po. Can you hear me? Ma'am Lani? Ma'am Lani, are you here? Siyempre po, andyan si Ma'am Lani. Sige po, ma'am. Pwede na po. The mic is yours.
Ayan. Nasa na yun? Ay, nawala. Nawala. Wait lang. Ayan. Okay na siya?
Yes po. May nakikita na po kami, Ma'am Lani.
Okay. Ayan, kata tayo. Basta tayo.
Ah. Nasaan ba? Araw na ating
Pagharap Paano na?
Nawala na. Okay. So, sama-sama po tayo, ka-Henerals. Tulong-tulong. Kaya natin to. Ayun yung pinaka-teams. Share lang po.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Lani Tamonan, for that wonderful sharing po. Ayan, you share just para pong to remind us that we should be working hand in hand together. Yeah, thank you po. Hard work never killed anyone. So we are moving on to our next speaker. Ayan. And I'm going to present the speaker for the next. Ang next po natin ay si Miss. Lang po. Si Mrs. Leah T. Salvador, ESP teacher, the energetic Leah. You may start.
Okay, good morning. Can I present my screen?
Opo, ma'am. I-stop ko po to. Ma'am, pwede picturean muna kita. Picturean ko po muna yung screen. Wait lang po, mama. Picturean ko lang yung screen.
Makailig ka dito.
Okay.
Okay, come here.
Pwede na po.
Okay, come here, please.
You can present your screen, ma'am.
Visible na po ba yung screen ko?
Yes po.
Okay. So, good morning. So, itong PowerPoint po is downloaded from our Google Classroom. So, ito po ay ginawa po ni Ma'am Jo. So, my topic is Module 3B, Learning Resources. So, the objectives, by the end of this module, you will be able to, one, associate learning resources with specific learning modalities. Two, access resources from online portals such as DepEd Commons and Learning Resource portal of the Department of Education. And lastly, explain the importance of using quality assured learning resources. Okay, lesson 1 is Learning Resource Map for Distance Learning. Ano po ba ang Learning Resource Map? So ito po, nagawa na po ito ng mga heads, ng mga nakatoka or ng mga chiefs po natin. So pag tinukoy po natin yung Learning Resource Map, it is a guide in selecting the appropriate distance, LDM, to be implemented in schools or in division. So pag tinukoy po natin ng Learning Resource Map, ito po yung tumutukoy dun sa mga gagamitin po natin na resources para po sa ating mga learners. For instance po, textbooks, novels, films, plays, radio, multimedia, digital learning resources, even the lectures na ginagamit po natin. So yung mga recordings po, yung mga pinag-aralan po natin before, nung nag-seminars po tayo, isa po siya sa learning maps. So, may mga steps po yung learning maps. Una po is pre-mapping. Sa pre-mapping, it establish a task force to guide the process. Second step is mapping, which is we identify the resources, developing mapping tools and strategies. Number 3 is taking action or developing an action plan. And lastly, maintaining, sustaining, and evaluating mapping efforts. And evaluating progress. Since tayo po, meron na po tayong mga learning materials na gagamitin for modular approach or yung mga MDL po natin. And sa online naman po, naaral naman po natin, na i-discuss na po, actually, nagiging toxic na nga sa atin dahil paulit-ulit, sabi nga ng Ma'am Kabalang kanina, hindi na to bago sa atin, alam na natin to, ginagawa na natin. So, hindi ko na i-ano yung activity since nagawa na naman natin to before. Then, I move on to lesson 2, which is accessing learning resources from DepEd portals. So, yung DepEd portals po, hindi naman po yan bago sa atin. So, kung hindi pa po ninyo na-access yung DepEd portals, simply go to your browsers and search for DepEd portals. Yung, dito po sa DepEd learning portals na to, dito po nakalagay lahat po ng mga learning materials na gagamitin po natin about sa mga lectures po natin. So, kung personal account po ang gagamitin natin, limited po yung makukuha po natin na resources. Pero kung email po ang gagamitin natin, lahat po ng materials regarding sa learning or sa teaching, ma-view po natin and also downloadable po. So meron po dun sa sa Google Classroom, nandun po yung videos and tutorial kung paano po natin i-access yung DepEd portals po. Then, part din po natin is yung DepEd Commons, part siya ng learning resources. So si DepEd Commons po, kung titingnan po natin yung memo, which is DepEd Memo number 42 series of 2020 item 7, si DepEd Commons, it is designed, created, and now introduces to us. So DepEd Commons is an online platform to cater the needs of public school teachers to have an easy access on developed open educational resources in the country. So sabi nga po ni Lola Briones natin, education must continue even in times of crisis, whether it may be a calamity, disaster, emergency, quarantine, or even war. So hindi dapat tayo mag-i-stop. So yung education must continue. So kaya po na-create si DepEd Commons. So kung mapapansin nyo po, last week, sobrang flooded po yung Liserian GC natin regarding DepEd Commons. So kung before po na-access nyo po si DepEd Commons, ngayon po pinapa-update po. Sabi, para daw magkaroon din daw tayo ng internet allowance. I don't know kung gaano ka-reliable yon. Basta kailangan daw nating i-update. But the problem was, hindi natin siya ma-update kung hindi tayo nag-avail ng OS na 365. So since ginagawa naman po ni Ma'am Lisa yung part niya para po lahat po tayo is mabigyan ng OS 365. Honestly po, dapat po talaga i-avail natin siya kasi binabayaran po ni DepEd yun. Sayang naman po dahil may budget po yun kung hindi po natin i-avail. Kung bibilin po kasi natin siya medyo pricey. So, i-avail po natin as much as possible. Okay, let's move on to lesson 3, assessing the learning materials. So, ito po yata yung isasubmit po natin, ito turned in. So, assessing the learning materials, napakadali lang po niya. Yung mga dinownload po natin from the portals, i-check lang po natin kung ito ba ay makakatulong sa atin o hindi. So, lesson 1, so i-skip ko na siya dahil mapping lang naman siya. And dito sa part na to, pag-uusap-usapan lang since nagawa na naman to ng school natin. So skip na natin siya. Then we move on. Si lesson 2, yun yung may video na po tayo. And just like what I've said kanina, papunta lang po tayo sa browser. Ito-type lang natin si learning portals or even si DepEd Commons para po maka-access po tayo. So, kung si personal account po ang gagamitin natin, definitely hindi po natin ma-access lahat ng mga learning materials. And kung si DepEd account po ang gagamitin natin, dun po natin makukuha yung mga learning materials na kakailanganin po natin. So, lesson 3, ito po yung ipapasa po natin, ito turned in. So, nandito po yung sample. Ito po yung assessment. So, ilalagay nyo lang po is yes or no. Kung yung mga downloadable po ba na learning resource material na nakuha natin ay magagamit po ba o hindi? Connected po ba siya dun sa topic po natin o hindi? So, yun lang po yun. Hindi ko na po siya patatagalin. So, ito po yung DepEd memo na binabanggit po regarding po sa DepEd Commons na ibinigay po sa atin ni Secretary Biones or Kinre 8 para po ma-access ng mga teachers po. So, that will be all po. Thank you po.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Leia P. Salvador, for that informative orientation of our learning resources. So, now, at this juncture, may I remind you that the next session will be at 1 o'clock. So, thank you po mga ka-Heneral. You may open your microphone po. Pwede ko po bang basahin, ma'am, yung mga nandito? Babasahin ko lang po natin. Yung mga comments po. And it goes like this. Congrats. Thank you all speakers for sharing. You are so great. Adya po, mga ka-Heneral, sabi ni Sir Edwin. From Adya po, Ma'am Nancy. Says, thank you or salamat po. And po, wow! Thanks, Ma'am Leia. Congratulations, Ma'am Leia. Congratulations po sa lahat. So, meron pa po tayong afternoon session that would begin at 1 o'clock. So, take it away po. Meron po kayong sabihin, Mama Grace, Yanan?
Yes, I just would like to say, take the opportunity of saying thank you to all the FASI on the first part of the training. Thank you so much. Ako po ay natututo ng madaming-madami sa inyong lahat. Just to be reminded, the training will resume at exactly 1 p.m. and hopefully, konti lang po yung slides ko. It's all about continuing professional development.